services have impacted the lives of over a quarter million individuals around the globe.
So, before we move ahead, let us give you the brief about what Just In Case is. It is our flagship case competition that offers participants the chance to compete with like minded individuals across the globe. After rigorous and competitive preliminary and intermediate rounds, we now have the top 12 finalists of Just In Case 2026, who will be presenting the solutions before our esteemed panel.
And this year, we are proud to announce that with 3,500 plus total registrations, we are the third largest competition organized by any one TTC branch across India. We are delighted to welcome our distinguished panel of judges at Just In Case 2026. Mr. Yathar Jawar, executive at Grant Thornton Bharat LLP, is a postgraduate from IBS Mumbai with a background spanning business advisory and campus engagement. His experience driving case competition initiatives at Grant Thornton gives him a sharp eye for what separates him for good analysis for truly compelling strategies.
Mr. Devang Pandey, manager at Accenture Strategy, began his consulting career at Deloitte before moving to Accenture, where he now drives high stakes technology strategy and enterprise AI engagements. An MBA graduate from the Indian School of Business, his experience in platform consolidation and competitive positioning in tech markets make him exceptionally well placed to evaluate the thinking participants bring to Cognition story today.
Ms. Vibhuti Darij, manager technology practice at Saxon AI, has built a career at the forefront of enterprise technology consulting across Wipro, EY, and Saxon AI. Her hands-on work driving enterprise AI adoption, including agentic AI and Microsoft Copilot deployments, brings a rare practitioner's lens to the room today.
Ms. Jessica Kwok leads global partnerships and Japan market and cognition, giving her a front row seat to the exact strategic battles participants will wrestle with today, from enterprise client acquisition to global market positioning. A Harvard Business School MBA, her perspective on cognition story is not theoretical, it is lived. We are truly honored to have us with her today.
We are truly honored to have the four with you today. We also extend our deepest gratitude to Grant Thornton Bharat LP, our evaluation partner for JIC 26, whose commitment to nurturing student talent reflects the very spirit that drives this competition.
We welcome and thank you all for sparing your valuable time. Before we begin the presentations today, here are some general instructions for all the teams. Please listen carefully. Each team will be allotted 8 minutes to present the solution. A single bell will ring at the end of 7 minutes. This is your signal to start wrapping up. Ashri will show you the demo of the bell sound. The bell will be rung again at the end of 8 minutes, exceeding which will result in the deduction of points. This will be followed by a Q&A round by the judges. All the participant teams are requested to join as per the team time slot allotted. No changes will be entertained henceforth. You will be allowed to share your screen and present your solutions yourself.
I hope the instructions are clear to everyone. I want the team leaders to react with a thumbs up and confirm their clarity with the instructions. Yes, Pratyush, any doubt?
No, no, sorry, I raised first.
Alright. Now, without any further delay, let's give JIC an ecstatic start. All the best to all the teams. Now, all the teams except the team which has been given the slot 1 are requested to leave the meeting and join as per their time slots. The team for slot 1, please stay, and rest of the teams, please leave the meeting. We will be messaging in the group when you have guys have to join. Um, Team Goldman Stanley, is everyone present from your team here?
Just one member is he'll be joining in 1 minute.
Please make it quick, guys, and turn on your videos as well. Guys, please turn your cameras on. Team Goldman Stanley. You need to begin.
Yeah, so can I begin?
Yeah, please turn on your videos, the whole team.
Oh, is that visible?
Yeah, it is visible.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, may I start?
Is your whole team present here? And yeah, you can start.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So we are Team Goldman Stanley from Shahid Bhagat Singh College of University of Delhi. So to start with, one number to start, $4 trillion, the projected global AI market by 2030. And right now, one company is trying to own the entire software engineering workflow within it. Cognition AI built Devin, the world's first autonomous AI software engineer, not a coding assistant, an AI that takes a plain language brief and independently writes, tests, debugs, and deploys codes. By 2026, $10.2 billion valuation, 5,000 plus enterprise clients, Microsoft, Dell, Cisco, etc. Then in 72 hours, everything changed. Google hired Winsource founders into DeepMind, kept on a non-exclusive license over their entire product, and Cognition bought the remains for $900 million each. Now they are chasing a $25 billion valuation with three existential threats: Google's IP boom, Claude Code's structural dominance, and a 90-day client churn cliff. Today, we answer, can Cognition survive, reposition, and justify the ambition? Our answer is yes, with three bold moves. Over to you, Adarsh.
Execution shift. The core inside driving everything we are building. Models will commoditize, execution won't. Cloud code gets better automatically every time. Anthropic improves models. You cannot outmodel a company valued at $350 billion, backed by AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. So we are not trying to, our recommendation is to go model agnostic. Let enterprises plug in Cloud, Codex, Gemini, whatever they already use or prefer. Cognition stops competing in the model race entirely and becomes the infrastructure layer that orchestrates them. We own the workflow, not the model. Here's the Anthropic leverage play. We offer them enterprise distribution across 5,000 active Devin deployments in exchange for the preferred API pricing. If they decline, we publicly announce model agnostic architecture that includes every competitor's model. Their refusal becomes their own missed opportunity. Either we win or they. But the real structural mode is the Windsurf Devin handoff. And this is where it gets precise. A developer writes a task in the Windsurf, one click, full code base, and test suite transferred to Devin. Zero prompt engineering required. Devin executes autonomously for hours. It returns a pull request with a complete audit trail. The developer shifts from builder to approval. The handoff is not a feature, it's a workflow transmission. And it becomes irreplaceable in three specific verticals: healthcare, financial services, defense, and government. These enterprises are not shopping for a better model. They need a platform they can trust with regulated mission critical code. That's what Cognition becomes. Over to you, Chitranj.
Now let's talk about the Google IP liability, probably the biggest strategic risk here. Google can replicate the legacy Windsor features, things like autocomplete in context editing and the pre-acquisition connectors. But the important point is that the Google license has a clear boundary. It mainly covers the legacy IDE layer, not the new integrated and the workflow architecture Cognition is building on top of it. So there is a roadmap of three phases. In phase one, the goal is to define the IP safe boundary and the shift engineering towards the Devin Windsor integration layer instead of the legacy IDE itself. In phase two, they introduce project memory, persistent cross-section context where Devin previous decisions automatically inform future sessions. Then in phase three, they expand into enterprise infrastructure, workflow, OS connectors, compliance execution, and the multi-agent orchestration for autonomous workflows. So overall, the strategy is simple. Don't complete the old ID layer, build a new platform layer above it. The next slide, which is about platform mode. This slide explains the actual platform mode is. Most competitors now only one part of the workflow. Some focus on coding assistance, some of execution, some of integrations. But Cognition combines all these layers into a single system. The intent layer captures high-level developer intent directly inside Winsoft. The delegation layer is the key mode, one-click task delegation with full context transfer to Devin. Then the execution layer handles autonomous multi-hour execution and testing, while the memory layer adds persistent cross-section context. On the top of that, integration layer connects enterprise system directly into workflows, and compliance layer generates the audit-ready enterprise logs immediately. And this is where the communication frameworks proof becomes important, in which P stands for questioning, R for restructure, O for ownership, O for observable proof, and the F for framing. So the mode is not just the AI model, it is an orchestration of all these layers together. Over to you.
At this valuation, retention is not an operational metric. It is the foundation of investor belief. So we built three operational linked ARR scenarios for 2027. The BR case assumes 45% Windsurf retention, moderate Devin growth, and Oracle demand captured primarily by Cloud Code that delivers roughly $162 million ARR, implying a valuation closer to $13 billion below target. The base case assumes 70% retention, 2x Devin growth, and partial replacement capture, driving $262 million ARR and approaching a credible $21 billion valuation. Credible, but still execution sensitive. And the bull case changes the equation entirely. 85% retention, aggressive dev in expansion, and successful enterprise capture push ARR beyond $500 million, implying a potential $40 billion outcome. The single most variable here is wins of retention is in the first 90 days, because retention does not just protect revenue, it protects the investor beliefs. This is exactly why $900 million capital deployment is milestone gated. $150 million stabilizes the retention and enterprise confidence. 280 million accelerates the platform integration, project memory, workflow OS, etc. 200 million funds competitive to market execution, and the remaining capital scales infrastructure while preserving strategic flexibility under the downside scenarios. So the biggest opportunity in the market is enterprise engineering displacement. Oracle alone is eliminated 20 to 30,000 engineers to redirect billions towards AI infrastructure. And the same pattern is visible across Microsoft, Meta, and other such companies. Cognition already has over 5,000 deployments inside these enterprises. So instead of cold acquisition, our strategy focuses on conversion. Phase one activates high potential enterprise pilots. The message changes from add another AI tool to expand engineering output without rebuilding headcount. Phase two introduces a standardized ROI framework for CTOs and CFOs. Our event deployment at 500,000 ARR creates a close to 40 to 1 ROI that shapes the conversation from AI capability to operational economic. Finally, every event deployment expands into bundle full stack platform motion through Windsurf, workflows, and compliance engine integration. And over the time, the Cognition developer network compounds a proprietary execution ecosystem competitors can easily replicate. Over to you,
Guys,
Arvind.
it's time.
So Cognition doesn't survive this. It becomes the infrastructure layer of the AI engineering era. So thank you. You are now open to questions.
So you can just go through our seventh and eighth slides
Yeah.
and
Judges,
our
we have a
appendix,
5 minute time span
sources,
for Q&A. Please
the
ask your
assumptions we
questions
have taken.
quickly.
Hey, hi team. I think it was quite interesting how you have encapsulated the problem statement and what you've brought in. I wanted to tap in more. There was a part where you mentioned that you want to go sector specific, right? There was a mention of defense, etc., healthcare. Um,
Yes,
so,
ma'am.
how do you think the positioning in that sector specific would be done? Do you have in mind the pilot and POCs that you would be propositioning, right? For those sectors in specific, what's your thought process behind that? Help me.
Ma'am, so when we target particularly healthcare technology and defense sector, we see that there are things like which are very security sensitive point of view. So there are whole execution, AI execution and automation serves there and can create the whole workflow over there, which is now not given any of the other AI enterprises or companies. So we are basically targeting sectors like healthcare, financial services, where they will building audit and other reports, and the enterprise SaaS modernization, and the defense and other sectors.
Right. And given the fact that it is really safe and there is a lot of complexity around security for these verticals that you have thought of, uh, Then on the last slide, you've also spoken about how you want to first go in with the existing customers. So do we know that the existing pilots which are running are also from within these verticals? And if not, then what's going to be your go-to for these particular verticals to tap into that? I think
Are
the
you
previous slide done
talking
this.
about this one?
Yeah. So your phase one was all about identifying the right pilots and
Yes,
POCs for
ma'am. Yes,
those
ma'am.
existing 500 plus customers or whatsoever.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
are these also very
Yes, ma'am.
verticalized that you're looking at?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Ma'am, currently we are assuming that the 5,000 debit deployments are to exactly companies which are in corporate sector, not in this government and defense sector. But when we are combining Devin with Witzer, creating the whole execution, AI execution, which is not being done by any other enterprises, AI companies currently, we are targeting these 200 to 400 like pilots where we will be deploying this combination of Windsor plus Devin. So this will be completely phase wise. We will be targeting something like some government and sectors, like some financial sectors and some healthcare sectors. This will be not completely based on companies.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I just want to leave you with the thought that, the strategy that you have from your GTM space versus what you've talked about the verticals, it's not quite clear to me on how would you, because at one point you want to positioning it as a vertical driven approach, and then it talks about tapping into the existing markets with what we have. So I'll just leave you with that thought, maybe uh, tying the two threads together and preparing a strategy that works for both of the options that you've spoken about. But great work. Thanks, team.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Hi, team. I'm Jessica from Cognition. This is very interesting for me. So I have one question. So say if you are the CRO of Cognition right now after the acquisition of Windsurf, what is the customer profile that you will target and you think we have a competitive edge there?
So, are you targeting about the particular customer profile which we'll be targeting, right?
Not just the vertical itself, but think about it from the go-to-market side. You have major
Yes,
accounts.
ma'am.
Sometimes you have enterprise.
Yes, ma'am.
What would you say is a typical like ICP, the customer profile?
Yes, ma'am. I got that question. To begin with, we have been given in the case problem that Oracle and other such companies like AWS and etc. have done layoffs in thousands of numbers, like 20 to 30,000 were the numbers which were given there. So there is a lot of space created for the engineers. There are a lot of layoffs done for the engineers. The completely clerical jobs have been removed. There's a lot of space for the AI execution, like for to capture the current market. The current companies which are like Claude, AI, ChatGPT, etc. They cannot like completely go there because Claude is a com, like one software. I mean one particular execution at a time, and the Devin and Windsor combination helps us to completely automate the whole AI execution and the whole workflow. So the space which we are given, there are like 20 to 30,000 engineers have been laid off. That creates a huge market for us to go there and deploy our executions and workflows.
I don't think I have the answer that I'm looking for. Maybe I'll clarify specifically on what is the customer profile that you're looking at. If you're the new CRO and you come on board, tomorrow you tell
Yes,
the
ma'am.
sales
Yes,
team,
ma'am.
hey, we're going to go to these accounts. What are these accounts?
I'm sorry, I'm not able to get that particular customer profiles. We are not like aware of that.
Like a criteria of the
Yes.
of the customer.
Uh, I'll not. I didn't get that particularly because we are not aware of the technicals. Since we are
That's okay.
from
That's okay.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
As we are time bounded with the Q&A round, I think we can wrap it up now and move on to our next presentation.
Sure, sure, sure. Thank you so much, judges. Have a nice day.
Thanks, team. All
Thank
the
you.
best.
Goldman Stanley can leave, and we'll just be waiting for the next team to join.
Uh, we are Team Enlightenment. We have joined.
Are all the members here?
Yes. Will the clock start after we start presenting?
Yeah,
Screen
yeah.
sharing?
If all the members are here, we can start presenting.
Yes, all the members are here. One second.
Okay.
Please present your screen and you can begin with it.
Is the screen visible?
Yes, you can begin.
Okay. A very good morning to the respected panel. My name is Devabrat, and with me are Aklesh and Ronak, and we are Team Enlightenment from IIM Bodh Gaya. In this presentation, we will explore how Cognition can navigate a fragmented AI tool ecosystem, defend its moat, and justify a $25 billion valuation. To understand a solution, we must first look at the bleeding problem in the enterprise. While 76% of developers are eager to use AI, they are currently battling a massive context tax. Market data shows that 54% of developers are now forced to use two or more tools simultaneously. They write code snippets in an IDE, copy paste code into a separate agent, and then hop to a browser to verify if it even works. This constant tool hopping destroys project context and creates what we call incomplete agency. This leaves developers stuck in a black box of autonomous tasks where they spend hours manually debugging almost right code. This is the struggle CEO Scott Wu faces today. He is defending a $25 billion vision against a 161 times revenue multiple and a massive Google IP liability. To scale our impact, we are disrupting the SaaS model. Because our agents automate the vast majority of engineering tasks, per seat pricing no longer reflects the value we provide. Our new bank results, a 20 times labor reduction, demonstrate that our real product is autonomous labor. Our agent as a service model decouples revenue from human headcount. By monetizing specific engineering outcomes like legacy migrations, merged pull requests, we capture the true value of the transformation that we deliver. This brings us to the meat of our solution, defining a competitive edge beyond model superiority. Looking at the perceptual map on the right, we can see the market is crowded in the assisted snippet quadrant. Tools like GitHub Copilot, Cursor, and even Claude Code is currently used for mainly one-shot tasks. Cognition alone occupies the full stack mode. We provide maximum project scope with the full autonomous agency. Our strategy is model agnostic infrastructure. By building an execution layer platform, we eliminate the vendor lock-in issue while enabling multi-model flexibility. We do not care if the engine is Claude 4, GPT-5, or DeepSeek R1. We own the fleet that directs them. Moving to the working model, we have unified Windsurf's IDE mode with Devin's agent mode through a proprietary integration layer. All of this is controlled through a project-wide Kanban view that provides shared code-based context, testing, debugging, and deployment. By turning model providers like Claude into infrastructure partners, we retain ownership of the end-to-end execution layer architecture and secure a mode that fragmented model-native incumbents cannot easily replicate. To make this positioning credible, our 12-month roadmap focuses first on stabilizing our 350 enterprise clients through audited SOC 2 certification before moving to dominate the multi-cloud agent development market.
Now, the real question is what actually stops Google from replicating cognition? Google can copy feature, but they can't easily copy workflows. Our real mode isn't just the IDE, it's the execution coordination, the enterprise integration, and the deep flow of context that coordinates everything autonomously. Sure, Google will compete in the generic tool layer, but cognition real edge is much deeper. It's about multi-agent execution, enterprise telemetry, and the kind of deployment governance that company actually trusts. So our strategy isn't just to ignore the threat from Google. Instead, we are clearly defining our differentiated execution layer and showing why these enterprise workflow advantages are going to compound over the time.
In this section, we evaluate whether Cognition's $25 billion valuation is credible through execution, not optimism. At roughly $170 million ARR post-acquisition, current fundamentals alone do not justify this valuation. Its future depends on whether Cognition can scale into a category-defining enterprise platform by 2027. To assess this, we built three scenarios. In the bull case, strong retention, rapid revenue expansion, and Oracle displacement tailwinds drive ARR to $1.19 billion, making $25 billion plausible. In the bear case, moderate churn and competitive pressure materially reduce valuation. In the bear case, integration failure, Google IP risk, and cloud momentum compress both ARR and multiples significantly. We then structured the $900 million capital allocation around one principle. First, preserve revenue, then build more, then scale, then defend. This ensures capital strengthens retention, integration, infrastructure, and long-term defensibility. Following valuation, we identified that the most immediate test of Cognition's $25 billion valuation is retention. Windsurf's $82 million ARR is not just acquired revenue. It is the first proof point of whether Cognition can preserve trust and validate its acquisition strategy. We segmented the 350 clients on the basis of the Pareto principle into three tiers using ARR concentration and churn risk. In tier 1, around 70 large enterprise accounts contribute 80% of ARR and form the valuation anchor. In tier 2, around 80 mid-market clients contribute 15%, while in tier 3, 200 smaller clients contribute 5%. This allowed us to prioritize value over volume. Top accounts protect valuation, mid-market drives growth, smaller account absorbs the churn. We set an 85% retention threshold to maintain institutional confidence. Our 90-day plan prioritized founder-led retention for top accounts, structured expansion for mid-market, and scaled continuity for small clients.
Now let us look at how this unified engineering operating system actually works. Today, developers are forced to juggle fragmented tools, switching between IDEs, cloud systems, deployment pipelines, which causes them to constantly lose project context. Cognition solved this problem by providing a centralized command center for autonomous engineering. At the heart of the platform, the coordination layer, there where teams manage projects, agent deployment from a single interface. Autonomous agents handle the heavy lifting like migrations, security audits, CI/CD fixes, while real-time pipeline automation, fleet visibility keep the entire process under control. The key point here is very simple. Cognition is not just building another coding assistant. We are building a command and control platform that transforms execution speed, governance, enterprise scalability. However, thank you so much. We are ready for the questions.
Guys, you have 1 minute left. You can continue.
Okay. However, for the vision to succeed, Cognition still has to overcome four major risks. First is competitive pressure. As Google, Cloud, and other frontier labs improve rapidly, Cognition cannot survive as just another AI layer. It needs to own workflow coordination and enterprise execution. Second is integration risk. After the winds of acquisition, preserving customer trust matters more than aggressive scaling. This is reliability and safety. Autonomous agents is in production can create deployment and security failures. So human approval checkpoints become critical. And fourth is supplier dependency. Relying too heavily on providers like Anthropic create pricing and access risk, which is why multi-model routing is important. At the end, the winner in AI engineering won't just have the best model. It will control enterprise workflows, execution, and infrastructure and operational trust. We thank our panel for their time and attention. We are open for the questions.
Maybe I can go first. So I have a couple of questions. First one is regarding the pricing part of it, right? So you guys understand you're fighting against Google on that 90-day window, right? Whatever, like, how do you suggest your pricing beat the likes of Google or Anthropic, where they have a lot of money to burn? They can just simply offer their platform like unlimited usage for like 6 months or something, right? You're working against a timeline, they are not. So does that pricing strategy reflect that edge that Google or some of these other corporations also have?
Right. So that's a good question. And obviously, Google as is a much bigger organization compared to us, and they can keep the fight going for longer. But we have a strategic advantage in the sense that these AI tools are not just one-to-one replacement for existing labor. If one person can do the work of 5 persons using these AI tools, then we should charge based on the outcome. So that will help us retain our revenue, because if the tasks done are more, but the seat is just one terminal, then that is just lost revenue. And talking about aggressive pricing, we have allocated 10% of the $900 million capital injection as strategic reserve to help us for till we launch the full console in 6 months, to help us battle those prices at Google's level. And after we launch, we have to let the product do the talking and hope that it catches.
Okay, the second question is regarding the valuation numbers. If you can quickly go to that slide. I think in the table, yeah, I saw a couple of factors. So you have your churn rate at 8%, 20%, 35%, then you have your growth rate, right? So churn rate, I agree with it up to a certain case. There are industry benchmarks associated with it. 8% seems fair to me, 20%, sure. When you talk about growth rates of 200% and 120%, that's where my confidence starts shaking a little bit. Like there needs to be some basis around acquiring enterprise customers at this scale. This is not D2C, D2C where you can justify like, okay, you onboarded like millions of customers in 1 year, right? How do you justify these 200, 120% numbers? What's the basis of it?
Akhilesh, you can take this one.
Yeah. So the Devon growth rate in the bull case, that is the 200%. We are using the best case scenario that everything goes according to the plan. That is, we are communicating the Google IP defense to our customers, as well as uh, all the things are going according to the best case scenario. And apart from that, we are also using the industry benchmark as well to assess these numbers.
What benchmark? That's my question. Because see, they need, okay, let's say you have 100 customers, 100 enterprise customers right now, right? You're saying 200% growth. So that would basically mean you're acquiring like what, 200 more customers in 1 year? Is there even a market which supports this 200% growth rate?
Yes, yes. So according to the case scenario, we are actually having uh, the scenario in that sense that we are having the Oracle displacement as well. And apart from this, we are also expanding our operation and also integrating the IDE as well as Windsurf. So if all goes according to the plan, then it's quite possible for the 200%.
But what benchmarks do you have to support it? You just said you have industry benchmarks. Who's
So
quoting this number? McKinsey, BCG, are they projecting these kind of growth numbers anywhere, or like where's this coming from? Because otherwise this, when I translate this into the lower table, right, where you've done your forward multiples and all of those, it then starts indicating me that you've tried to kind of come up with a factor which basically leads to a decent enough 25x multiple, and that justifies the valuation, which is what is kind of shaking my confidence.
yes, sir. So the numbers were basically that the AI coding tool market as well as the enterprise operating system market are increasing at this at an high rate, as well as apart from that, we are also using industry benchmarks such as the SaaS tool market as well as other market. So to justify the 200%.
The CAGR is 7%, but when we talk about the within this industry disruptions, for example, for example, since Google has the technology of cognition, but we retain the IP, so we can it can help us retain the customers using the existing brand equity. And when one company loses customers, those customers need to meet their targets, right? They need to use another AI coding tool. They cannot just sit idle. So that demand goes straight from one company to another. So again, yes, these numbers look less probable, but in this case, let's say a very good scenario, bull case, these numbers could be possible according to us.
Okay, over to you, Jessica and Prabhu.
Just on the last point that you just mentioned as part of the Q&A, you said that when a particular company is working with one AI platform and things are not working, they just go to a different AI platform. I mean, that's very utopian of you to think that way, because that's not how AI stickiness works, right? Because your dependency is being created on one market. You cannot just lift and shift. So your best case or the bull case is more a utopian case. So let's all agree to that.
Yes.
Doesn't happen in technology. We've all been a part of it. So that's not something that you're looking at. But another thing that I wanted to ask from you was you really focused a lot about workflow automation, workflow engineering, not being platform based and model agnostic, which is what everybody is doing as well as we speak. But when you're putting this down, what specific workflow optimization and orchestration that you had in mind that, okay, this is my moat, probably, this is how I'm going to play on? And the second question would be, who are you targeting? Are you targeting enterprises? Are you targeting SMBs? Are you targeting SMCs? So I just need a little bit of clarity there.
Right. So our specific mode is giving all the control to the user. So for example, if the Claude Opus model, let's say 4.8 releases tomorrow, then our platform can reap the benefits of that. And our mode is the layer that organizes this. And we are able to create switching costs that make switching away from it difficult. For example, there is no perfect AI tool currently in the market. GitHub Copilot is very IDE native and bad for agenting workflows. Cursor is one of our biggest competitors, but again, model agnostic, it can have lesser options, and we can offer local LLMs also, because Oracle, it will have its own LLM when we can provide support for that. So we can hope to compete in that regard. And Codex, again, it has problems related to being model agnostic and context window. So what we see in the market is there is no moat currently. Even Google, it can have a moat in the future potentially, but it currently does not, and that leaves space in the market up for grabs. And we have to be quick and make sure that we are able to capture that space using our resources and the capital allocation. We have to make sure that we capture this space and the tailwinds. So that was our plan. And I'm talking about specific workflows. I think Devin has the biggest compatibility among all these tools, because there's a tool called Devin CLI. It can run even on old 1978 computers. And Devin has vast tool integration of Jira and Slack and everything. So there is really very less friction if someone were to switch from another tool. So we hope these things help us in acquiring the clients and achieving that high rate of growth we talked about earlier. So this is what I would like to say.
Great. I think the last bit I wanted to tap in on was the market that you're looking at. Enterprises, SMBs, SMCs. Where do you position yourself?
Right. Sorry for missing on that. So we have divided our clients based on tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So tier 1 is our utmost priority in the upcoming months, because they represent a massive chunk of the ARR. We have to make sure that we retain them using one-on-one calls and give them confidence that the tool of us is here to stay. And after that, we'll move to tier 2 and tier 3 clients. Talking about the keywords you mentioned, I'm not aware of those specific keywords, so that's why I'm going basis on the ARR multiple. So I'll research on that, the keywords you mentioned, ma'am.
Awesome. I think this is for the existing accounts, right? That's the plan that we
Yes,
have put in.
yes.
What about the new acquiring? How do you get
Mhm.
into this tier 1, tier 2, tier 3?
Right. So we will first, like you said, we'll first retain the customers that we have onboarded from Windsurf. And after that, between months 5 and 8, we'll launch the integrated full stack mode solution. We're naming it Cogni for our purpose. And after that, we'll begin the rapid marketing and acquiring cycle of acquiring new customers. Because right now, customers are not sure what they're buying into. So first we have to launch the full integrated stack mode according to this timeline, and then we'll tap into those tailwinds.
Okay, I'm good. And one good feedback that I want to give to you, that user frame that you had created, a mock-up.
Mock-up.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you so much. We spent some time on it. Okay. Any more questions?
I think we can wrap up with the Q&A round. Thank you, team. You can leave now.
Thank you so much. Have a good
Great
day.
presentation, team.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
We'll start the next presentation as soon as the next team joins.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good
Good
morning,
morning.
everyone.
Are you solo, right?
Yeah, I'm solo.
All right, you can
You
Yes.
can
start.
start presenting.
Okay, thank you. Are you able to see my screen?
Not, yeah, now it's visible. Is it visible, right, guys?
No, it's not visible. You can just do it again.
Now it is.
Is it okay?
Yeah, yeah.
It's
It's
fine.
You can start then.
Hello. Yeah, okay. So, good morning, everyone. I'm Gaganajit Singh, and today I'll be presenting my strategic solution for cognition AI in a high risk but high opportunity scenario. So, talking about like the core challenge here, the core challenge is how can Cognition defend its ambitious $25 billion valuation, prevent winds of client churn, and neutralize Google's IP threat all within a critical 90-day window. Talking about my recommendation first is to reposition Cognition from just another AI coding tool into the world's first autonomous engineering workforce platform. So, first of all, talking about the industry context here, the AI developer tools market is expected to grow at around 10% annually by 2030. However, the market tools like Claude Code, Cursor, and GitHub Copilot offer either AI assistance or ID functionality, but not a fully integrated autonomous engineering ecosystem. At the same time, enterprises face three major pain points: 60% deployment stalls due to insufficient resources allocation. Engineering leaders lose nearly about 70% for their time for managing fragmented tools and offshore coordination. And 55% of the enterprise buyers are concerned about Windsurf's IP and roadmap uncertainty. This creates a major opportunity for Cognition. So, before jumping toward the solution, I want to state down the vision for the solution. Vision is very clear. Devon Autonomous Execution Engine, Windsurf experience, model agnostic infrastructure, and deep enterprise workflow integration. Unlike competitors, Cognition integrates planning, execution, monitoring, and deployment into one seamless workflow. For example, a developer writes a brief in Windsurf. Devon autonomously executes a task across enterprise systems like Jira, GitHub, Now, the competitive advantage. Basically, it is in four parts. The first is model flexibility. The second part is enterprise integration depth. And the third part is autonomous execution. And finally, execution telemetry. Each of it has its unique things. Like when we talk about the execution telemetry, each deployment improves the system, creating an 18 to 36 month switching cost and long-term stickiness. Now, coming towards the execution and adoption strategy, my execution roadmap is divided into four phases. Phase one focuses on crisis stabilization during the first 90 days, CEO and CTO outreach to top accounts, retention incentives, and launching WinSub Enhanced. The target here is to retain over 70% of WinSub's ARR. Phase two focuses on platform unification, full Devon WinSub integration, discounted Devon adoption for WinSub clients, and enterprise rollout. Phase three is for category repositioning, and in the phase four, the platform scales into a model agnostic marketplace with platform led monetization. Now, talking about the communication strategy here. So, my communication strategy focuses on trust, transparency, and category leadership. The message is simple. Cognition means autonomous engineering at scale. Key trust drivers include proactive IP disclosure, public commitment to retain wins of engineers, enterprise grade security, and direct CEO engagement with top enterprise clients. We also drive adoption through gamification, leaderboard based engagement, and exclusive early access programs for the top performing enterprise accounts. Now comes the main part, the ROI and cost model. The financial upside is substantial. Key targets include 70% plus rates of retention, Devon ARR growth of 150% year over year, net revenue retention above 115%, and 30% plus multi-product attach rates. Enterprises using Devon are projected to achieve 3x faster delivery cycles and nearly 40% reduction in offshore engineering costs. Over time, Cognition moves from being an AI coding tool to becoming a strategic engineering workforce platform. This expands the total addressable market developer tools market to a potential $500 billion professional services automation opportunity. Now, The next part is future roadmap, 2+ years onwards. Basically, I'm not creating a model which will sustain in like for the 12 or the 24 months, but we have to think in the longer run also. Like phase one is 0 to 12 months, crisis stabilization and plan. Phase two focuses 36 months, platform maturity. The phase four focuses on strategic differentiators, how we can compete with the Fortune 500 companies and how we are going to survive in the long run. Now comes the risk assessment and mitigation. Of course, there are risks. The biggest risks include winds of client churn, Google IP replication, valuation creation, and competitive pressure from cloud code. To mitigate these, Cognition launches a 90-day retention war room, files 15 to 20 workflow patents, adopts a model agnostic architecture, and captures proprietary execution telemetry at scale. The idea is simple. Risk, when anticipated early and addressed strategically, becomes source of long-term resilience. Now, coming to the impact story. So in this, like we can see the platform metrics, like wins of retention 70% plus in 90 days. It has a business impact of $57 million. Is going to show up in the different metrics like driven ARR growth, net revenue retention, Oracle displacement, multi-product. And along with this, I have also mentioned the competitive advantages there. Like when we talk about Cognition's biggest opportunity is not to compete as another AI coding assistant. It is to define an entirely new category, the autonomous engineering workforce platform, by combining autonomous execution, enterprise integrations, workflow intelligence, and model flexibility. Cognition can create a defensible moat, preserve enterprise trust, and justify its long-term valuation ambitions. In short, this is not just for enterprise. Please. Hello.
Gagan, we request you to just check your network issue before Q&A round. It was lagging in between.
I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. Actually, I'm working at a plant location here. Network is like up and down. I'm really turn off my like video for the Q&A. It would be like smoother for you.
That's okay. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Are you able to see my slide?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. So we are up for question and answer round.
Okay, sure, we can start.
Okay. Is anyone speaking? I'm not able to hear anyone.
Miss Jessica, I think your mic is off.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'll start with the question first. So, my
Okay.
question is, after the acquisition, in terms of the future product development, if you are the CEO of Cognition and then you see all the competitors out there, what space do you want to play in this market, and how do you build your future product roadmap? What would you change there?
Hello.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Lag between like I am the CEO of the organization, and then
And then now you acquired Windsurf. How would
okay.
you position the product against competitor, and what new features that you need to change or prioritize?
Okay. So I would answer this in two parts. First of all, how would I position? Second of all, how are we gonna fight the competition? Okay. So, so the positioning basically what we are trying to do is like when we see the current market, it is basically like we have cloud code and like I mentioned another things like Jira. But the main major problem here is like we do not have a fully integrated sites or three different portals and then combine his order solution and then provide it. This creates like a major like time consuming part, and the thing like people get irritated. So the first thing that we are trying to do is do something new, like integrate each and everything. Just give a prompt or anything, and then you can get all of the things together. So this is how we are planning to position it. Now comes the like when we talk about the competition, the competition is always there to have everything. Then we talk about like they can get the IDE functionality, but they cannot get the deployment for its own. That is based upon the company's experience, basically. Like how do you design your deployment? That is on the company's experience, company's years of like interaction with the clients and all. Is that justifies your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Gagan.
Yeah. Any other question, or can I leave? Like,
No, great presentation. You can leave.
thank you so much, Parikshit. And sorry for the interaction, like the lag between the
No, no
presentation.
problem. No problem, Gagan.
Yeah.
Is everyone present from your team?
Yes.
You can start presenting.
You guys can start presenting. You will start the timer on that one.
Shall we start?
Just present your screen. Right. Shlok, we are time constrained. Can you please present it quickly?
Team, you can start presenting your screen.
Just a
No
second, sir.
problem.
Just a second. Is our screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it's
Okay,
visible.
sure. We'll start with the presentation, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Hello, judges. Good morning. We are case crafters, and we are going to present the solution for the problem that Cognizant AI is currently facing. So let's begin with the problem statement first. So the problem which the Cognizant AI is essentially facing is that the Claude code, it keeps on scaling.
the Google can replace Windsurf easily, and the company still has to justify a $25 billion valuation while retaining 350 enterprise clients and $82 million in ARR. And on top of that, moving from AI assistance to autonomous execution, it creates major context and workflow issues. So a solution, it basically repositions Cognition from a coding assistant into a full AI engineering operating system. So we shift from the AI tools market to the engineering labor market. We use the HAI integration where the Windsurf, it captures intent and the Devin executes autonomously. We move the into the cloud layer to reduce Google's advantage and scale through outcome-based execution instead of seed-based SaaS. And finally, in the matrix below, which we have put it in the bottom left half, the pricing, it becomes outcome-based, the retention, it becomes system-led, and defensibility comes from the workflow memory and semantic graphs. Moving forward with the capital deployment of for our platform leadership. So this slide, it basically explains why Cognition is structurally different from something like Claude Code. So like starting from the table on the left, which you can see, while Claude is terminal first and session based, Cognition becomes workspace first, where Windsurf captures the full engineering context and Devin executes with continuity. Then in terms of context scope, if we talk about, Claude works within limited memory while Cognition builds a persistent deep wiki layer across code, Slack, Jira, and workflows. Even the monetization changes. Traditional co-pilots are still seed-based SaaS products, while Cognition, it moves towards outcome-based execution. And because Devin, it operates inside a managed cloud sandbox basically, so it can safely test, fail, retry, and execute autonomously at scale. So overall, what we are doing is that Cognition, it stops behaving like a coding utility platform and becomes an actual engineering teammate where the moat, it comes not from features basically, but from workflow memory, institutional context, and executional continuity. Moving on to the next slide.
Okay, so judges, slide 3 represent a fundamental shift in our business logic. Basically, we are moving from model native tool to a model agnostic orchestration layer. Oracle just eliminated 30,000 engineering roles to fund 10 billion in AI infra, and CFOs are now pulling budget straight from human payroll and reallocating it to outcome-based systems. So that capital is not disappearing, and Cognition is fully positioned to capture this capital. So our GTM is a three-phase wedge. In phase 1, Windsurf goes premium into 350 inherited accounts, mapping the private semantic graph of every code base. In phase 2, Devil credits target high friction tasks that eats most of the time of mid-level engineers. And in phase 3, Devil is not a tool anymore. He's a native cloud engineer embedded into core infra alongside Oracle and Cisco. So our pricing shift is what makes this task business. So our pricing shift is what makes this a different business entirely. From $40 per seat to 150 to 250 per task, 10x revenue capture per developer, and that's how we are addressing this big labor market. So now we are will move to the next slide, and Haya will present.
Yeah, so now I'll be explaining the core model as to what and how a product works. So we have three-step workflow. Step one would be the Windsurf captures interest. How does this happen? So in this stage, the developer would define what the architectural constraints as to how they want the code to look like. Step two would be a one-click delegates everything. So now what happens is in this step, you wouldn't have to re-explain everything to the code again because Windsurf 2.0, it pushes the entire IDE state and into the Devin cloud sandbox where it executes the entire code. Step 3 would be Devin executes autonomously. It plans, writes, texts, and completes the code on its own. Moving on to how architecture is for our platform. So there are basically 5 layers: an isolated cloud sandbox where Devin is practicing away from the production systems. A model agnostic routing layer, how it happens is it basically channelizes the repetitive tasks to the cheap models and the premium complex tasks to the premium models. Then is the closed loop Devin itself, where it practices the code and executes it. Orchestration layer, which manages 8 or more parallel events. And then there's a Windsurf layer with which the human actually interacts. We have the three compounding capabilities for DDUC. So what are the three compounding capabilities? DeepWiki, a 10 million token knowledge graph, it basically eliminates the failure that was caused by context delay because we do not have to explain everything to the AI again. Model agnostic middleware, as I explained, it routes the repetitive tasks to the cheaper ones.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay, so moving on to the next slide. Basically, what we are doing is we are moving from traditional SaaS, that is, we are not charging $40 per task. We are moving to a pull request based model where we will be charging on every pull request. The logic chain is 1.2 billion ARR in 2027 multiplied by 20x forward multiple, and that's how we justify the 25 billion valuation, which is benchmark against the tier 1 platforms like OpenAI and Anthropic. And as Devin scales across our code base, our revenue compounds automatically. We do not need new seats because as Devin penetrates into the code base, we get more and more pull requests, and that ultimately compounds our revenue. Okay, so moving on, I will present.
yeah. So securing the defensibility for the $25 billion outcome. So what we want is to have a legal protection. How are we going to have it? Is that we are going to outright declare. Uh, can we stop?
Guys, time. Yeah.
Your time's up, but you can just wrap it up, please, quickly.
All right. So basically, we'll be declaring outright that 85% of everything that has been executed is after the acquisition took place. That projects to the investors that their information is safe with Devon. Yeah, that would be our solution.
So now, just to conclude, we have divided our capital allocation into 4 main phases, and that is how we are going to allocate in according to the phases. Now, Shok will conclude.
We've also made our 15 months implementation roadmap, which we can see. In the first phase, it is going to be
Guys,
the
time's
autonomous
up.
Guys, time's up. Guys, time's up. No much
Okay,
further
thanks.
information.
One quick question from my side on the pricing side, right? You're saying $230 per task. How have you come up with that? Like, what kind of pricing logic are you following?
So sir, to answer that, basically earlier, like for any co-pilot charges based on that they are providing the entire subscription of the co-pilot in one go. For example, there is $40 to $50 subscription of Claude or ChatGPT Pro. But what we are doing is we are charging on pull request per basis, and the logic behind that is, for example, if we assume any mid-level software engineer in the US, so that costs the company around roughly $200,000 a year, including all the benefits. And on an average, a mid-level software engineer completes around 200 to 300 pull requests in a year. So that comes to around $600 to $1,000 per pull request per engineer. So what we are doing is we are actually substituting the entire mid-level engineering layer, and that is, since we are charging $230 per task, that's a 65 to 75% cost reduction to a company, because we are not just providing a co-pilot. We are completely eliminating the mid-level engineering work that is cost heavy for the company, and we are completely automating it, and it is also cost efficient for the company. So the pricing logic comes from the the pull request per pull request charge, that the logic comes from per pull request charge that an engineer is taking compared to what our co-pilot is charging. So that's how we are basically cost efficient as compared to any traditional human value.
Okay. And can you quickly go to that IP divergence slide for a second?
Could you please come again?
I was saying, can you quickly go to that IP divergence slide, which I think was slide number 4?
Yeah, it was slide number 4.
This slide, sir.
No, there was one where you're talking about your moat, basically.
Okay, sure.
On IP divergence, where you were comparing against like what Google is doing and all of those things.
Okay, sure, sir.
Yeah, this one. So here you're saying, okay, so here you're saying that, if I understand it correctly, you're saying that Google will not be able to replicate what you're doing, right? Help me understand this a little bit, right? They've already kind of acquired or hired most of their founder teams, right? They know the product inside out, right? uh, they are already doing most of the things except that context wala portion, right? So like, what is stopping them from kind of replicating it? If not, let's say 90 days, let's say another 6 months, or maybe another like a year or so.
Yeah. So, sir, I understand your question. And to answer that, basically what happened is that Google actually hired the founders of Windsurf, while our AI bought the Windsurf product. That is we are integrating it with Devin. So Google have a non-exclusive license, and they can, yeah, as you said, that not in the next 90 days, they can replicate in the future period. But for what we have different is we have the client database. And as for any large language model, as it penetrates into the database of a company, it becomes difficult for that company to switch from like one operator to someone different. And that will be our mode, because we have a semantic trajectory graph that like records each and every response to what the developer is saying and what the code has been changed. So this semantic trajectory graphs help us solve the problem of context decay, that is the loss of memory in different sessions. And that is what making us different, because in the next 6 months, even if Google replicates the exact same model, they won't be able to penetrate that much and with that efficacy, because by then we would have been trained our data on a large set of client database. And that will make us different, because the access to database will, the more pull request that we will be getting will make our platform more powerful. And that is why it will become difficult for any platform to come at par with us. And that is our core
Uh,
argument.
Answer adding on to your question again. So, what basically we are trying to do is that, yeah, it is true that Google has taken the license, or the non-exclusive license from us. So, what we are doing is that we have divided our this whole platform into two segments basically. So, the first is the surface layer, which has the basic interface. The interface where the customers, the developers, they try and interact. They give the prompts basically to the LLM. And in the second segment is the basically the backend, all of the execution, the main intelligence, and the main operations that work upon. So what we are legally positioning our win service that Google, whatever they do, they can just copy or maybe replicate the outer layer basically, or the interface of the Windsurf. So we are going to do is that we are going to transfer the whole intelligence and the whole operations to our cloud systems basically. So Google will not have access to the core intelligence and the core backend operations. They will having access, or maybe they can replicate only the face interface basically, which is there, which the customers see. So I think that is a very like a valid point basically, where Google cannot replicate our backend operations, our core intelligence. They can just operate whatever it is visible outside of the platform. So I think this we have worked upon.
I just want to add one thing that it's quite interesting that we are dumbing down Google at the levels that we are. But what's one weakness that team you think that your product doesn't have, and if there is going to be a problem, you'll not be. I mean, that's one area that your solution and the platform that you're offering would be failing on.
Yeah. So to answer your question, one thing that we are ahead of any other company that can create a similar product is we are not model locked. For example, if Google creates the same level of interface, so they will attach it to Google Cloud and with the Gemini. So what our model is different is our model is model agnostic. We are integrating multiple AI into our system. That is, we can use the best parts of GPT-4, Gemini, Claude simultaneously. We are not model locked. For example, if Claude creates a similar product, so it will use the Claude like the Claude model to solve that code based problem. But what we will do, we are combining the best versions of all the AIs present and all the co-pilots present in the market, and we are creating an integration platform where we will be sourcing the code and any pull request from the most the best source that we can source from. For example, if there is a need for to write any code, and Claude can write that code the best way, so we can source that from Claude. And that is what makes us different, because we are making a complete layer where we have integration with all the AI models. And our key mode is that we are training our models into the existing client's database. And as for any large language model, as it penetrates into the code base of the client, it would be like it would become more efficient, and the efficacy of our model will increase. And that is why any it will be difficult for the client to switch from us, and also any other company cannot replicate the exact model, because the efficacy would not be at par with what we are doing, because we have trained our model with enough data. That is what our core mode is, and that will be our competitive mode, and that is our core argument.
And adding on to that, also, we are developing our deep wiki system, which is basically a storehouse of memory of the tickets of basically the customers. So what we're doing is that we will be like storing the full data of the past chats and the past experiences of the developer with the AI, so that we're able to develop this memory and we're able to work according to that. And I think no AI does this currently right now. They don't have this a good source of a very big place for storing the memory basically. So we are developing our DPK model for that as well. I think that is also a very differentiating factor for that.
Okay, guys.
Let's stick with the timing of the Q&A round.
You
If
guys.
you are done, you can leave.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, judges are requested to kindly update the score sheet alongside.
Should I start?
If your
Yeah,
team
you
is
can
here, you
proceed.
can.
Yeah. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is. You can start.
Okay. Good morning. I am Purav Mehta from Hansraj College, and I'm representing team Purav Mehta 158. So let's tackle the cognition crisis. So let's not sugarcoat it. Cognition has $180 million in ARR, and we want a $25 billion valuation. But right now, we are under siege. Anthropic is closing in fast on us, and we only have 90 days before our Windsurf clients can jump ship. And Google holds a legal license to copy our core technology. So how do we survive this and justify a $25 billion price tag? The answer is our 3D strategy framework. We can see on the right, this is our blueprint. We defend our workflow against Anthropic. We diverge our tech to trap Google in the past, and we dominate the market by capturing the massive wave of displaced enterprise engineers. Let me show you how we execute this. To defend against Claude Code, we have to realize we aren't fighting a feature war here, we're fighting a workflow war. Look at the software pipeline on the left. The gray bars show you where our competitors can hit a wall. Claude Code is brilliant, no doubt about it, but it is limited to single session coding. Now look at the green bar for cognition. We can span from architecture all the way to the monitoring phase. We're truly the only platform that executes multi-hour autonomous tasks in a sandbox. What this chart proves is that our mode isn't the AI model, it's the workflow. By letting enterprises plug any model they want into a workflow, we can neutralize the Anthropic threat and make them into a partner. This gives us a monopoly in high security sectors like finance, defense, and government tech, places where cloud only model could not legally operate, but Devin can. But a moat needs a good go to market engine, and that brings us to dominate. Tech giants just cut 30,000 engineering jobs. That frees up around $10 billion. We don't just see layoffs, we see the biggest demand catalyst in software history. The journey map at the top is our attack plan. CTOs across the Wall Street are panicking, asking how do I backfill 200 engineers without headcount? And our answer is Devin. The math on the bottom right shows why this matters. We don't need to monopolize the tailwind. If we just capture 2% of it, we double our ARR to over $300 million. And by partnering with firms like Accenture to handle the messy enterprise integrations, We scale our revenue without blowing up our internal headcount. To protect that growth, we execute pillar 3, diverge from Google. The market thinks Google can just clone us. The legal reality is Google bought our past and we're building our future. The framework on the left isn't just a product roadmap, it's our legal shield. By pushing immediately into the top left quadrant with proprietary workflows and eventually fine-tuning models on our 5,000 enterprise clients, we build a wall around our IP. By the time Google ships a replica of yesterday's Windsurf, we are selling tomorrow's Cognition. On the right, we've laid out the exact disclosures we will use. We don't hide the IP threat, but we will control the narrative. We will tell our investors that Google's license does have an expiration date, and we will tell our clients that the future is governed exclusively by our IP. But to reach that future, we have to survive the next 90 days. And we inherited $82 million in ARR from Windsurf. If that churns, our $25 billion valuation also dies. So look at our 3R retention engine on the left. The phase 1 CEO triage, we deploy CEO Scott Wu for one-on-one calls with the top 15 accounts. Why? Because under the 80-20 rule, those 15 accounts hold our biggest revenue risk. Look at the metric card on the right. That is our line in the sand. Hold 70% retention, and we proved to the investors that our ecosystem is sticky. If we drop below it, we can instantly pivot our pitch. We can tell VCs the Windsurf deal was just a talent grab and shift all the valuation weight back onto Devin's massive autonomous growth. But now let's talk about the $25 billion price tag. Critics say a 138 times trailing multiple is insane, and we do agree. But category creators aren't priced on the past, they're priced on the future. A scenario table on the left bridges this gap. Under a bull case, strong market tailwinds and low churn push our 2026 ARR to $324 million. That drops our valuation to an 80 times forward multiple, which is exactly where Snowflake priced at its IPO. But this is about intellectual honesty. The sensitivity analysis on the bottom right shows exactly where we can bleed. If Anthropic beats us to the Oracle budgets, we will lose $1 billion in valuation. And if churn ticks up 5%, we can lose up to $280 million. We aren't hiding the fragility, we have priced it and we are actively mitigating it. Because of those risks, we do not hand $900 million to our executives on day one. Look at the allocation table. This is strictly gated deployment. We release integration and defense funds to immediately fight the fires, but that massive $270 million product bucket, it is locked. We can only unlock it after we hit our 70% retention target. Infrastructure funds, we have locked them until we cross $250 million in ARR. The Gantt chart on the right aligns our cash with our execution. We triage in months 1 to 3, diverge our IP by month 6, and dominate by second year. This structure guarantees our discipline. Finally, a $25 billion strategy demands a stress test. So the matrix on the left identifies our vulnerabilities. The biggest threat is risk number 3, our 250 inherited Windsurf engineers walking out the door. Without them, our IP divergence stalls. That's why 22% of the immediate funding goes straight to the aggressive retention packages and equity acceleration. What if Anthropic beats us to the Oracle tailwind? We mitigate that risk by pulling our entire sales push entirely into the first 90 days. We lock in those displaced engineers before Cloud Code can get a chance to mature. Cognition AI is standing on the edge. The market sees a messy acquisition and a massive Google threat. We see an open lane, but by defending our workflow and diverging our IP, we can capture the displacement wave. We don't justify just a $25 billion price tag. We build the category-defining enterprise workflow platform. Thank you, and I'm now ready for the question.
Good presentation, guys. Just one question. So can you quickly go to slide number 2, where you were talking about that single session versus multi-session thing? Just explain this to me, because I've been hearing this again and again. What do you mean by single session code review for Cloud Code?
Okay.
What does that mean?
Okay, so it works in a single session, like for ChatGPT, if you have, or any AI model you use for that matter. When you create a new chat, that's a single session. It doesn't have a workflow whole. You can just start from the beginning where you tell it everything, and it deploys the code, it tests it, it reviews it, it debugs and everything. And
Cloud
if
Code
even if
is coming with multi-session coding, guys. If you're aware of it, I think they have probably dropped it or they are planning to come up with. So if that's your argument, then I think they are catching up very fast.
Yeah, but again, they are cloud-based models. They cannot operate in the sensitive sectors like defense, government, tech, financial services, and that's where we can operate in because our model, our is a model agnostic thing, workflow. So they can put in any model they want. It's just an orchestration layer, to be honest.
Uh, Not convinced. Vibhuti, do you wanna? I saw you getting yourself unmuted. Maybe you wanna jump in there, but
No, I actually wanted to ask them a follow-up question.
Uh,
yeah, I think there's some internet
Sorry
issue.
for my background. So I was saying that uh, being on cloud is not secure enough for your uh, defense sectors, healthcare, etc. I really want to double down on that. And sorry, like I'm not able to understand what justification that gives us.
Being on the cloud is really exposing the data. I get it that it can be a high security cloud, but government sectors really prefer their own workflow models. At least in India, that's
Mhm.
how it is.
Yeah, because that's not how it globally is. I mean, there is a very
Yeah,
secure cloud globally, like Microsofts of the world also have a secure cloud. And there's a lot
yeah.
of defense that's running on that cloud. So I think if we are trying to proposition it on the basis of cloud being secure or not, and that's why we run it locally in some servers for the government sectors, that's not a fair understanding and assumption. Just want to call that
No,
out.
but it's also we also provide enterprise workflow templates, and we'll fine tune our models for proprietors, and we'll have a native hand
Mhm.
of protocol. So that it's we are all mostly targeting the high margin enterprises instead of the commercial public sector where
Mhm.
you can. So yeah.
Yeah, but you would be wanting to run around these enterprises, but why would an enterprise come to you? Right? There is a lot of differential
Yeah,
tools in the market. So
because we
probably,
we aren't a human in the loop like Cursor or Claude. It just works in a sandbox from beginning to end. If we just put in the winds of IDE with the Devin autonomous agent, it's a complete SDLC pipeline that we have.
Mhm. But
So
Purav, honestly speaking here, that human in the loop is a feature, not a limitation. So think about it as we go. I'm good with my questions.
yeah, it is a feature, but like it shouldn't be mandatory. If someone wants to have it all automated, then obviously that's their choice. And some enterprises do prefer that because their uh, their code bases are very long and they cannot have that many engineers always working on it.
All right, Purav, it's time.
Okay,
You can leave now. Great presentation.
okay, thank you.
Team section. Is your whole team here? Is
We
your
are just waiting.
here?
Yeah, the whole team is here.
Yeah, you can start your presentation.
Just allow me a minute. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Good morning, judges. I would like to start with something very simple. Today, companies are facing a contradiction. They need more software than ever before, but they want fewer engineering building it. Over the last few months, companies like Oracle, Amazon, Microsoft, and Meta have cut thousands of engineering roles, while software demand continues to accelerate. And yet, most of the market is still trying to solve the problem by building better coding assistants. Cognition did something fundamentally different. Through Devin, the world's first AI software engineering, it built a system that can independently plan, build, test, and deploy software. And that gives Cognition the opportunity to do far more than compete in the coding tools market. It gives them the opportunity to redefine how software gets built globally. We are Team Saksham, and today we are not here to tell you how Cognition survives this shift. We are here to tell you how Cognition leads it.
So now moving on to the first slide. Yeah. So in Q1 2026, 78,000 plus tech professionals were laid off, yet software delivery demands grew by 40%. And that gap cannot be filled by hiring. 87% of enterprise developers use AI assistants daily, but nobody delivers a full stack autonomous execution. Gartner projects that 40% of enterprise apps will embed AI agents by 2026. Yet, no platform combines autonomous execution with persistent engineering memory. So, a 52.62 billion market growing at 25 to 26.6% CAGR has a leadership vacuum, and Cognition fills it. Moving on to the next slide. Yeah. So Devin delivers autonomous end-to-end execution, multi-file, multi-R coding from natural language to working code. On the other hand, Windsurf delivers the AI native IDE layer, real-time co-pilot, and a seamless workflow integration. Together, it is the only platform that repairs its own code. Now, based on this foundation, we have five different differentiators. The first one is the fleet command. So, hundreds of Devins deployed simultaneously, coordinated through Windsurf. It is basically 50 senior humans orchestrating hundreds of AI engineers. Also, charging per fleet unit could result in a 10x revenue per client for us. Then comes the spec-first execution. The Windsurf structures precise specification before the Devin executes it, thereby eliminating the ambiguity entirely for the whole process and forming a product category that no competitor can replicate without deep Devin integration. Then comes the engineering memory. So Devin permanently retains every architectural decision and bug fix. After 2 years, switching cost becomes commercially insurmountable. And the logic is simple. You own the memory, you own the enterprise. Then comes the compliance native engineering. So GDPR, HIPAA, SOX, RBI, all checked in real time during execution. And also a compliance premium of 2 to 3x standard pricing could add $100 million plus in our ARR. Now moving on to the next slide, please. Yeah. So legacy assistants like Copilot and ChatGPT still require 90% human effort to implement. Contextual IDEs like the Claude Code and Cursor keep the human in the loop for every step. So no offense autonomy, it is just a smarter search engine. But Cognition independently plans, builds, tests, and deploys, handling the entire SDLC from spec to production. So also, every competitor is currently trapped in a chat window, but Cognition owns the entire engineering workflow. In a nutshell, we are not competing for the assistant market, we are rendering it obsolete.
But before Cognition can build a 500 billion future, it first needs to protect that 82 million sitting at risk today. 350 Windsurf clients are currently questioning three things. Where are the founders? Top engineers are gone, and Google now has the access to their original IP. And the mistake most companies make here is treating all the clients equally. We won't. Our top 50 clients alone drive nearly 49 million in ARR. So instead of trying to retain them as giving them discounts, we make them the stakeholders through our founding partner program. Now, what do they get? They get a 3-year price protection, direct influence over Windsurf, early Devin integration access, and priority migration into our future AI engineering models. Now, why this works? It's simple. People don't leave product they helped build. Meanwhile, Scott Wu first 30 days are tightly sequenced. First, he listened to the clients, then locked them in, then he reassured the investors, and finally controlled the market narrative. Because this is really not about retention, it's about trust. Retain these clients, and Cognition proves both customers and investors should still believe in what it's building.
Now, coming to our valuation, the $25 billion valuation is justified by Cognition future growth potential and the market we are building. We are not creating just another AI coding assistant. We are building autonomous AI engineers that can independently plan, build, test, and deploy software. Over the next 24 months, we will introduce major innovations like Devin Fleet, engineering memory, compliance native engineering, and multi-agent AI systems. These solutions create strong competitive advantage and long-term enterprise dependency, positioning Cognition as the future industry standard in AI engineering. As the industry shifts from labor cost to AI infrastructure spending, Cognition has the potential to capture a massive market opportunity and scale rapidly. Moving forward to capital allocation, we plan to strategically deploy $900 million over the next 24 months. Around 30% of it will go into R&D and core product innovation, including Devin Fleet, engineering memory, compliance native engineering, and multi-agent AI systems. The remaining capital will focus on enterprise retention, infrastructure scaling, Windsurf integration, and long-term ecosystem expansion. Over to Sakshan.
And this is where Cognition's story becomes much bigger than survival. In the short term, Cognition stabilizes its current business by retaining clients, rebuilding trust, and protecting its existing 180 million ARR foundation. In the medium term, it strengthens its moat by integrating Windsurf and Devin into a unified platform that competitors can partially copy but would never be able to replicate. But the real transformation happens in the long term. Today, enterprises spend over 500 million every year outsourcing engineering works to firms like Accenture, TCS, Infosys, and many more. Now, Cognition changes that model completely. Instead of selling better coding tools, it starts selling complete engineering execution through AI delivery pods, where Devin handles nearly 80% of the execution work. Now, here you get faster delivery, lower cost, and higher margins. What else a firm wants? And that shift Cognitions from competing for developer subscription to capturing enterprise engineering budgets. That's why investors are still backing Cognition, because this is no longer just a product company. It's a foundation of entirely new category. And as Scott Wu said it's best, we want to build the future of software engineering. Thank you.
Hey, hi team. Thanks. Great presentation. Could you walk me through the risks that you feel that entire model will have, and what are your strategies around it?
So please take them to the last slide.
Yep. Let's double down on this, please. Hey team, you're good with the question that I just asked you, or do you want me to take it again?
You are not audible. Could you please repeat?
Okay.
I believe there was some network issue.
Can you hear me now? Is this clear?
Yeah, it's audible now.
Perfect. Awesome. So I was talking about, you briefly mentioned about these risks that you've identified, right, in the entire model. Do you want to like tap in again on what are these key risks and what are your potential mitigation plans, please?
See, the key risk that we have taken in consideration was related to, again, the Google IP, the Windsurf model that we are currently having, the engineers gone, and all those major risks that we were having while making the solutions. But now how we are targeting, it's basically, let's suppose or Google has an IP to our product, but it has an IP to the existing product. and we would be delivering something with integration to Devin that no other firm or no other company on this planet is having. So that would be completely different from what Google is having right now. So that's how we would be planning to tackle our risk. Currently, I just gave you the example related to the IP, because I believe that was the biggest risk that we were facing as the founders of Cognition. But simultaneously, other risks are also handled in the same way.
So just to add to what my colleague said, apart from the IP liability risk, for which our mitigation was that we have allocated the $40 million budget to Windsurf upgradation, and in that we have also introduced the V2 model of Devin. So basically, the past of Windsurf, which the Google currently holds, and an IP will no longer be applicable with our different differentiators which we'll be introducing and the budget for which we have allocated. Apart from that, the second risk was the Claude Code structural compounding advantage. And for that, in our competitive positioning, we have correctly listed it that Claude Code keeps humans in the loop and cannot work autonomously. Whereas our core argument was that Devin directly ships you with the product. And the third risk, which I think we kept in mind, was the Windsurf client churn in the 90-day window, for which my fellow member just told the whole strategy through which we'll be moving.
Fair. And just the last question that I have from my end, what is your take on the fact that, just tell me your take, end-to-end autonomous coding deployment, you just briefly mentioned about it while we were talking, that your platform offers from build to deploy without a human in the loop. Do you feel it's a feature or it's a limitation? And I just need a one-word answer and then we can.
I believe it's a first of all, I just would like to give a brief about it. We said that Devin would be working 80%. Like 80% work would be handled by Devin, and the remaining 20% would be handled by the experienced engineers itself. So it would be a revolution, I believe, rather than a limitation, because we are not just cutting the jobs, we are making people sit, but then Devin and Windsurf both will work in a certain way that you just need to command them in a certain way, and then the work would be done simultaneously.
Sure, thanks.
Just one more question from my side. Can you go to the appendix? It's, I think, the slide just after this, where you have done your evaluations. Just walk me through this. So you have your retention numbers, you have annual growth.
Yeah. So first of all, we divided the cases into 3 different scenarios on the basis of retention, our annual growth, and the valuation multiple.
Just one question. So you have your 2026 ARR, which is 270 million.
Yeah.
Right? From there, you have applied a.
Yeah, this is the base case we are considering.
Yeah. Okay. So from there, you have applied a forward multiple to get to implied valuation.
Yeah.
This forward multiple, this 70x number, you have come up with that?
The forward multiple is derived through the demand drivers. So basically, we divided it through different we have the major factors that are driving our growth. So first of all, there is a high growth potential in the market. The Windsurf plus Devin gives an end-to-end complete solution to AI engineering. So that is the major key differentiator in our product. And secondly, the workflow lock-in and retention. As my colleague Saksham said, that there will be a high retention within the clients through our model. So we will be able to achieve a good number of ARR. That is, I assumed here 45%. That will be easily be achievable through the retention model we are following. And then there is also a premium infrastructure style multiple. Like this is not a normal SaaS business. This is a technology market, the infrastructure business, which provide, if we become the market leader and we have a strong retention, I think the $25 billion valuation is easily achievable.
No. How do you break this 70x into the 3 different components that you talked about? Infrastructure, valuation. Like, see, I can say this is 90x. Yeah. I'm not getting convinced with how you've done your valuation.
Currently in the market, the competitors are playing at a very high valuation. Like let's say Claude is playing like 30 to 40x, and major like GitHub is playing at more than 100 valuation multiple of their ARR. So compared to them, we are just below them. Like we are not exceeding
It's
the.
not apple to apple. Sorry to wait. It's not apple to apple. What the thing that GitHub offers versus what Cloud Code offers versus what you guys are offering, there are overlaps, but it is not strictly an apples to apples business where you can do a peer sort of a forward multiple and just apply it directly. Either you do a peer sort of a structure, which I don't think is possible in this case, or you give me that breakdown of, okay, you're doing, let's say, 5x because of one factor, another 10x because of another factor, and make it a sum of parts sort of
Okay,
thing.
so you want the breakdown between the
Yeah,
multiples.
because otherwise, then peer to peer does not work here, guys. Let's be honest.
Okay. So basically, considering the current industry scenario of AI tooling, the 50x multiple for premium and tools is considered base case. Like the 50x is simple. Okay, like it is the basic. If you have a good product and which is compatible in the market, you get the 50x multiple without explaining or over explaining those things very much. Like 50x multiples, like let's say Cloud Code is easily valued at 50x because of the things it is providing, the features it is providing, and the services it is providing. Like from a simple prompt you get a complete solution. So in this case, the
Is Claude Code valued at 50x or Anthropic in general? Because it's not.
Anthropic in general.
That's what I'm talking about. Anthropic has a lot of non-enterprise, normal customers like us as well, who just don't use it for Cloud Code. When your competitor is Cloud Code, which is not 50x. Anthropic, because it has a larger customer base, it has a lot more other features to offer. That's why it gets valued at 50x. When
Yes.
you talk about Cloud Code, that's where the numbers will start shifting.
By the end of 2026, that is our financial year, we will be introducing many new agents and many new solutions. And according to them, I have got to this forward multiple. Not because of the current valuation. Like the current ARR is very less. If we compare it, the valuation to the current ARR, it will be more than 120 multiple. So that is not a thing we are considering. We are valuing our company on the basis of the potential it has and at what position it will be in the next 2 years or 1 year. Like I think the valuation is valued of anything on the future potential it have and how it will perform in the future, not in the current basis.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys. Great presentation. You may leave now.
Thank you.
Also, judges, if you need a break, a 10-minute break right now, or after one more presentation, as you like.
We can take it after one more, Devang, if that works.
That works. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Guys, have your whole team joined in?
Yes, we are here.
You can join. You can just present your screen and start with the presentation.
Okay. Is my screen visible? Can someone give a confirmation?
Yes.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, thank you. Okay. In May 2025, a clock started ticking inside Cognition's headquarters. Well, not a literal clock, but a 90-day clock. The moment Cognition acquired Windsurf and its 350 enterprise clients with 82 million in ARR and an IP problem that looks indefensible on paper. We know from the case that there are four problems that are to be addressed. However, these may seem like four very different problems, but they are one battle, a battle of trust. And this is what we address through our thesis, the AI proof stack, which is a four-layered stack built upon on customer trust, investor trust, workflow trust, and model trust. Now let's look at the competitive landscape and see what is really going on. The SaaS enterprise industry is growing at a staggering 25% CAGR. Yet, Cognition AI is the only player which has Devin as the autonomous agent, Windsurf as the IDE, and SW 1.5, which is its own model. Here in the matrix also, you can see that Cognition is the only full stack platform with full project execution and audit traceability. Even its biggest competitor like Claude has a long way to go. Over to you, Priyansh.
Yeah, so my partner just framed the competitive threat. Now the key question is, why would an enterprise actually choose Cognition? Here on this slide, we refer to the findings in the Grant Thornton's AI Impact Survey 2026. So according to the Article 12 of the European Union's AI Act, by 2nd of August 2026, providers of high-risk AI systems must automatically log all events. The survey highlights the problem this creates, that as 78% of executives say their firms cannot pass an AI governance audit, which means that the enterprises cannot prove their AI is safe, and that right there is Cognition's market opportunity. Also, please look at this confidence staircase in the center of this slide. It shows that while 7% of firms in the exploration phase feel confident that they can pass an audit, that number skyrockets to 74% for firms which have integrated governed system. There is a huge proof and auditability gap to fill, and models alone cannot really comply. But the integration of Windsurf and Devin can make that happen. So, building on to that, we can strategically position against the cloud code in the next slide. It grew to $2.5 billion ARR by early 2026, but our strategy is different. Look at the comparison on the left. Claude delivers an inference session, prompt in, answer out, conversation ends, no record. On the other hand, Cognition delivers a complete project end to end with a full life cycle log from input to deployment. So these two are different products for different jobs. You can see the beautiful workflow here in the center of this slide with Devin and Windsurf integration. The whole loop is auditable and compliant, and we can become model agnostic by launching a bring your own model type of feature through which we can allow users to connect to the model of their choice, and this turns Claude from a competitor into infrastructure. We also have hard to obtain certifications like SOC2, Type 2, FedRAMP High, etc., that also indicate our reliability and enable us to penetrate highly regulated markets like finance, government, defense, and enterprise software as a service. On the right, you can see the highly regulated markets like governance, defense, finance, etc. Now, moving on to this next slide, let's talk about the risk that has been sitting in every investor's mind since the acquisition. Google holds a non-exclusive license over Windsurf, but our take is that the license is a May 2025 photograph, and Cognition has been building ever since. Like it has built code maps, SWE 1.5, Devin Windsurf handoff, etc. And critically, we have compliance certifications which take a lot of time to acquire. For example, FedRAMP High takes around 12 to 18 months. And the good news, Google cannot inherit these, and that's our moat. And now the number everyone in this room is here to evaluate, $25 billion. I want you to imagine the letter T. On the horizontal, there are tools like Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, etc., which are in the general market. And then on the vertical line, we have tools like Harvey AI, which is hyper specialized in the law domain, and that's our case study here. It is hyper specialized, and that's why it has a multiple of 58x. So this tells us that the firms who solve a problem no one else can is valued at a higher multiple. Now, our Devin is the only autonomous complete AI software engineer in the market, and when we integrate that with Windsurf, we create a complete life cycle. That value proposition no one else can offer. Additionally, you can also see the retention scenarios here in the center. The bear case is when the churn is high. The base case is when the retention is successful. And the bull case is about a higher NRR That is when the clients grow as well as their demands grow with us. Both the bull and the base cases justify our $25 billion valuation. Now over to you, Nityaparna.
Remember the clock that we talked about in the beginning? Well, this is where it matters the most, our 90-day defense. Here, we realize that churn is the most important factor for valuation, and thus we have addressed this through client segmentation based on Pareto distribution and other surveys that we found. And here is what we did. We have segmented in three tiers. In the first tier, comprised of 22 clients, which contribute to over 62% of the total ARR. And we address these clients by none other than the owner, Scott Wu, and CEO, through the window of week 1 and 2, and by offering them uh, personal attention and retention offers. Tier 2 is addressed by VP sales, and tier 3 is addressed by automation. And uh, here is the Google IP framework, which is defined by five pillars: continuity, indemnification, roadmap visibility, staffing transparency, and multi-model flexibility. Investors are assured through primary metric report at day 30, 60, and 90 through metrics like GRR, NRR, tier 1 renewal rate, and outreach completion rate. Now here we have the proof that Cognition has been performing. In October 2025, SWE 1.5 was launched, which is 13 times faster than Claude Sonnet 4.5. On 7th Jan 2026, a big company like Infosys named Devin as the strategic partner publicly. And right now, live in April 2026, you can see Devin in Winsoft in full swing. Now, this was the past and the present. About the future, we have given Monte Carlo ARR stress test, which comprises of 10,000 situations, which you can access through the appendix here. It has different factors such as different cases and the assumption controls through which you can see if the valuation is really defendable or not. The clock at Cognition AI is ticking, but right now it ticks in our favor. The only question is whether you see it or not. Thank you.
Guys, please keep on your presentation so that the judges can take a look and ask you questions.
And thanks, team. Good presentation. I want to talk about the fact that you briefly did mention Harvey and that how Harvey being a verticalized solution really caters to a larger amount of market. So when it comes to your mode, do you think that you want to build a development platform for a particular market, or how do you want to lead with that?
We don't really plan on building the platform for a particular market. The comparison with AI Harvey was because Cognition is doing something which no one else is doing. I researched and found out that building autonomous agents is really hard, and no other AI company has done that. And that offering is something which is unique, and that's how it compares with Harvey, and that's why it is on the vertical segment.
I think with the AIs and the LLMs of the world that we have now, building an autonomous agent or building anything for that matter is now democratized, right? You're aware of the fact that even business users can build a lot of things which earlier developers need core strengths to build on. So I'm not very confident on the statement that you just made. But yeah, if you have anything on the parallels that you wanted to talk about, how this would be a differentiator than the other coding platforms or the development platforms, I'd be more than happy to understand.
Okay, the reason I made that statement was because there are tools, I agree, like Claude Code. It is a session-based coding assistant. It does not really build something end to end. And then there are tools like Lovable or etc. that and Cursor. They build front end. That's it. They do not build everything end to end. And then you can just they just can send that to the IDE, which is integrated here, Windsurf, for human review, and then it can again reiterate and then give the final output, which is full stack, not just front end, not a coding assistant for one problem. It is full end to end, and that's how it is different, and that is something that no one else has built. right now in the market.
Ma'am, one more thing that I would like to add is that Windsurf holds all of these certifications that you can see even here in this slide, which no other AI as of now, that is the biggest competitors like Gemini, they don't hold these as of now. So that is a big advantage for us, and thus getting into these industries, targeting these industries is something that Cognition is doing that is a differentiating factor from the other competitors.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at your Q4, you also want to do a vertical GTM. So what verticals have you identified? And that's exactly where I wanted the focus to be when I asked you the question.
Ma'am, these
So
are the verticals here that we have stated. These are the ones that we are targeting, the financial services such as the banks, because they are highly regulated, and having these certifications give us credibility to actually get into those markets. And similarly, defense, and then the enterprise SaaS market.
and the governance markets as well. They need high compliance, and the Cognition is certified with FedRAMP high certification. That is the only AI that has been certified with that.
Two quick
Also,
questions from my side. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
I would like to add something. If it's, may I add something?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So also here through the Grant Thornton AI survey, we also realize how uh, there is the EU AI article coming in, which is very high on governance and how it needs mandated auto recording of events. So when we look at the compliance angle, after this act, the enterprises are even more inclined, and they are looking for uh, safe AI, which actually helps them get through this act.
Sorry, yeah. Just one question from my side. So on the valuation slide, you gave your bull case and your base case and your bear case. How does your valuation not increase in case of a bull case scenario, right? Your valuation is actually going down in case of a bull case. How's that possible?
Sir, in the bull case, we are actually linking the bull with the ARR, not the valuation. Valuation is what we are targeting, 25 billion valuation, right? So when the ARR is increased in the bull case, the multiple is decreased here. You can see the multiple is 41x. We
Does not
cannot
happen.
have.
That does not happen. If see, you have to understand from an investor's perspective, right? If they are seeing a bull case, if they are seeing all the variables getting shifted in the positive direction, the premium on the comparable, it starts increasing like drastically. Like if your bull case is true, I'll not be looking at 58x. I'll be looking at like 70x or 80x, to be honest, because it's not a linear relationship. All of these factors combined together creates an exponential rise in your comparables factor. But that's one thing. Second thing, maybe I missed this, but how are you tackling the whole issue around all of the top founders and all of your top guys leaving? I'm not sure whether you covered that in the presentation.
Uh, the the founders leaving uh, the the company is for sure a big problem, but we can also see that the Cognition's leadership is also comprising of a lot of great people. And after acquisition, we have seen the Cognition building a lot of things, a lot of great things like SWE 1.5 and other things as well. And integrating Devin and Windsurf so efficiently that it is now becoming, uh, you know, a great product, and a lot of enterprises are actually buying it. Around 4,000 plus enterprises are currently customers of Cognition. So the founders leaving was a problem, but I think the Cognition's leadership is effectively addressing that and resolving that.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Also, one thing that we have mentioned here in the client retention part is our Google IP framework, where we have the staffing transparency. So our plan is to make sure that our clients know that even though the founders have left, we still have 250 engineers confirmed and committed
Yeah,
to Windsor.
but what are you doing to keep them with your firm? Like they can also leave, right? With better equity and all those things for the competitors, from the competitors. Like how can you be sure that they are committed? That's my question. You have to ensure very good compensation structures and all of those in place, because if founder left, there's nothing stopping from other engineers like taking the same thing. It happens a lot of times. So yeah, just a call out.
The 900 million capital that
Good. Talk about it
Cognition.
is what I'm saying. Yeah. Address it.
Yeah, so the 900 million dollar capital allocation is right here on the slide. We are using a lot of it to, incentivize the current engineers as well, and for that you can see the
Oh,
first
right.
one,
I can see
engineer
it now.
retention.
Okay, yeah. Okay, got it. Yeah, okay.
22% is allocated to that.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
And if you are building a product which is, which is competent enough, the employees would stay because of the expected and visible uh, visible rapid growth that might happen due to that. Because this sector is full of rapid uh,
Okay.
this
Yeah,
sector is full of rapid growth, and the ones who are not growing at such a pace are the ones for which employees would not really work and switch to the other companies who are growing at a higher rate.
Point taken. Thank you. Yep.
I think we can wrap with the Q&A round. Thank you, team.
Okay, thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much.
Also, we will continue the further presentations after a quick 10-minute break, if it is okay with judges.
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Let's move forward to our next presentation. If the whole team is here, you can start presenting.
May we start?
Yeah, you can.
Sorry. Yeah. Imagine a young engineer in a room full of coders. Everyone around him is typing faster and competing harder. But instead of joining the race, he builds a machine that can code on its own. That engineer is what Cognition represents today. Good morning, respected judges. We are Team IPM 07 Naman Navlani, and today we'll be presenting our strategic recommendation for Cognition. In this slide, we evaluate whether Cognition has the scale and positioning to become a long-term category leader. The AI developer tool market is projected to reach 25 to $35 billion by 2030, growing at nearly 25% CAGR, showing a rapidly increasing enterprise demand for AI-assisted engineering. At the same time, competitors like Claude Code and Cursor are already operating at a multi-billion dollar ARR levels, while Cognition currently stands at 155 to 180 million ARR, making the competitive landscape intense. However, our SWOT and competitor analysis revealed one key insight. Most competitors are still either assistant tools or model log platforms, whereas Cognition through Devin plus Windsurf combines autonomous execution with a full stack platform ecosystem. So, moving forward, can Cognition beat its competitor in their own race? The answer is no, and that is exactly the right strategy. Gunpreet will guide you through it.
So as we know, Claude Code is at 2.5 billion valuation, while Cursor has been recently acquired by SpaceX at $60 billion. But both have been locked. They can't go model agnostic. So Cognition should not try to model them out. Rather, it should try to outposition them. To understand it better, let's see the strategic map. We can say Claude Code is at the bottom left, while Cursor is the bottom right. Both can't move upwards, while their position to move is the top right, which is the engineering operating system which has complete autonomy with most model freedom. What is an engineering operating system? It is just like an operating system like Windows, which manages the entire software development ecosystem. So now we know what Cognition wants to do. Well, let's see how can Cognition get there. Three moves, three simple moves. Move one is to become model agnostic. It uses Claude, GPT, Gemini, and any other internal model to one system. Move two is to make a human plus AI workforce layer, which means AI would help human to be more productive. And move three is to reposition as engineering operating system. It moved from being a user to now it being a CTO or a VP of a company. The verticals that we wish to target are financial services, defense, platform engineering, and large enterprises replicating their own system, just like Oracle. We learn the strategy, but we should know the execution as well. So we have a 12-month roadmap. In quarter one, we wish to start by shipping the handoff protocol. In quarter two, we start by the audit ledger. In quarter three, by piloting the finance model as well as the defense model. And in quarter four, we'll start by publishing 3 case studies of our success. We have understand the 3 moves, 4 quarters, one platform. But let's understand the one thread, Google. The biggest concern of all the investors are Google for sure. But let's be precise. What does Google own? Google can copy the July 2025 Vincev model for sure and distribute it within their users. But one thing that it can't do is access Devin because Devin is a separate cognition product. It cannot copy its data anyway. So, what was Cognition doing till then? Cognition has made us SWE1 model, which has replaced Gemini in its Windsurf, and it has become 13x faster. It has also developed Windsurf 2.0, which has three key features, which are one-click Devin integration, spaces, and agent command feature. But Google, what was Google doing till then? Google, there was incidents of code detection accident in Google, while there were geographic restrictions as well. It also tried to make a Windsurf clone, but it was an unstable one. So the simple thing we can learn is that Google has a license to pass, but Cognition is making the future with 3 different layers. What Niharika would explain now.
Neharika is on mute. I can't hear her though.
I'm really sorry. As Gunpreet said, this slide explains how Winsoft built a very strong long-term competitive advantage to 3 layers. The first layer is domain specialized model. Winsoft is trained using real enterprises deployment data, so it performs better in high risk enterprises environment compared to the generic coding assistant. Second one is the enterprise workflow integration. Windsurf become deeply connected with the company's daily operation. Once this happens, switching become extremely difficult. Third is the organizational intelligence. Over time, the platform learns how a specific team work, which create institutional memory that keeps improving with usage. This changed the position completely. Clients are not just buying an AI coding tool, they are buying integrated workflow and accumulated enterprise intelligence. For investors, every new deployment strengthens the most moat because adoption increases dependency and redundancy and reduces the churn risk. Now, next slide explain why the cognition valuation is still attractive, even if it seems expensive today. In the benchmark comparison, companies like Cursor already trade at a premium ARR multiple without having a fully autonomous agent platform. Cognition combines autonomous agent with enterprises workflow intelligence, which support a strong valuation premium. In our forward ARR model, even conservative assumption shows significant revenue growth by 2027 through wins of retention and scaling the enterprises. The structural premium section explains why the company deserves higher multiple. Winserv is helping creating a new category around autonomous software engineering. Finally, the capital allocation roadmap shows the disciplined deployment of the 900 million investment, starting with the stabilization integration. Stabilizing integration, strong revenue growth can offset. And finally, the allocation roadmap, finally, the education roadmap shows disciplined deployment of the 900 million investment, first stabilizing integration and ending with the maintaining a strategic reverse. The next slide shows the priority. Our priority is protecting ARR and preventing uncertainty from turning into churn. We identified 3 key churn risks: orphan client relationship after the acquisition, concern around product continuity, and pricing pressure from competitors like Google and Cursor. To address this, we create a 3-phase stabilization plan. Phase 1 is focused on rebuilding trust through dedicated customer success managers. Phase 2 focus on expansion by launching Devin pilots. And phase 3 focus on long-term retention by converting pilots into paid contracts. Now over to Sarhana.
So in this slide, we show how Cognition's current post-acquisition risk can actually become its strongest validation point. On the left, we highlight the shift in switching cost. Today, WinSub is still seen mainly as an IDE product, making customer switching relatively easier. But once Devin becomes embedded into the enterprise workflows and execution system, replacing the platform becomes a much far more difficult task because the entire engineering process would need to be rebuilt somewhere. On the right, we identify the key validation metrics since these directly indicate whether the enterprises are adopting the platform vision. And finally, on the bottom, the cross-sell funnel shows how Cognition can convert existing wins of enterprise clients into long-term Devin platform customers, increasing both retention and platform dependency over time. So in the end, the question was never about who could type code faster. It was about who could build a system that eventually changes how engineering itself is done. And if Cognition succeeds in turning Devin into just a from just a coding tool into an entire engineering operating system, then it won't just compete in the AI race. It could redefine the future of software development itself. Thank you. And now we are open to questions.
Okay, I think interesting take. A couple of things that I want to call out I felt were good enough. Maybe on the human in the loop side, right? I think having that thought process that engineers needed to work along with it rather than just replace it is a good take. Let's talk more from your outreach strategy standpoint, right? How are you planning to take Cognition to a larger market space? What's your plan? And who would you be catering to? Are enterprises what we're looking at, or small sectors what we're looking at, or are we going into a vertical based approach? So let's talk about that.
We also have a vertical based approach. We have shown that we want to go to defense because they necessarily need it, being an engineering operating system, because it stores all the data completely, whether being their initial data or any fault that they have done till now, because changing an operating system will be very difficult for them, as all the data has been originally stored. So going to a new operating system and getting that 6 to 12 month data back is very tough. So we initially want to go with vertical based approach. That's what it is.
How are you trying to price your product?
We thought initially it was, if it was a simple AI tool, it was 20K. But now, since it we are making it into an engineering operating system, we want it to be a 300K dollar.
How?
Well, building an operating system that involves all the costs and then marketing it to them.
How did you come up with a 300K number? That's what I'm trying to understand.
We thought it of as a similar operating system. We install Windows in a computer. And what would it cost for a system to install that and getting an operating system for them? So it would be a similar operating system for all the computer base that they are using.
Okay. So when it comes to pricing, there are different models which are followed. You have uh, you try to look at your cost and apply a margin on top of it. That's one way to do it. Works very well for traditional products like consumer goods line, right? For SaaS based or basically any tech related product, uh, you cannot like you need to be able to tell me the framework in terms of like how that 300K number is justified. There are different license pricing models which are available per user, per seat, per device, named user, agent, number of agents which are deployed. So that's where my question is coming from, like what kind of pricing model or a strategy you're following, and basically how you're coming up with that number. The approach that you're telling me, that that can work very well for a traditional product. So the example that you gave, right, Windows. But for a product like this where you're trying to come up with a engineer, with a coding engineer itself, that model, I don't know if that works very well. That's I think where my question was coming from.
And I do have follow up on that, what Devang just brought in. I think propositioning Cognition as an engineering OS, it's it's a very difficult task that you're signing yourself up for, right? If you think that you want to be the Windows of engineering platforms, I mean, I still want to be on my Windows and just have something added as a plugin. But if you just want to switch the entire OS for me, I don't think so that's going to fly. Because the stickiness that we have currently of all the OSs, right? And especially the trust that comes in from enterprises or the defense sector that you wanted to talk about. Why would they want to come to a Cognition and not stay with the Microsoft or the Apples of the world? You're just a dot in that matrix, right, for them. So I think that needs a little bit of re-understanding. And you did mention about this 300K that you're propositioning your OS for. So is that a annual consumption? And then on top of it, once it's annually deployed, I can go ahead and create anonymous numbers of agent workflows and a number of agents in the backend. I don't need to worry about how have you modeled that.
To answer your question, ma'am, Niharika just mentioned a bank. Niharika, can you repeat that story once?
The example of the bank, Brazil's bank, Itaú banks.
They deployed Devin in their system. So there has been an incident, but it has already been installed and checked that whether an operating system can be installed or not. So since you said that it's very difficult for one to switch from their operating system, that's what the major cost is, because companies try to trust their data to something that they don't want to switch in future. Because switching for sure, first of all, you get comfortable with an operating system, and another thing, it involves a huge cost while switching. So you trust the system with your data, and then switching become harder. That's what Cognition should try to do. Cognition should try to fix itself so that it can get the trust of their client, and then when it becomes an operating system, for sure that the bigger companies won't try to switch at all, because first of all, uh, uh, and the tier 3 companies, which are the smaller ones, they feel it's so price sensitive to switch every time they get to a solution.
I'm good. Thank you.
I think we can wrap up with the question answer round.
You
Thank
can
you, team.
great presentation, guys.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Team, if all the members of your team are here, you can start presenting your solution.
Is the screen visible to everyone?
Yeah, it's
Yes, you may begin.
Okay. Pallab, please start.
What if software teams no longer needed to write software? That is the shift Cognition AI is trying to lead from AI assisted coding to autonomous software execution. Good afternoon, judges. We are the team Case Crackers. Today, we are not just discussing an AI company, we are discussing the future of the software development itself. At the center of that shift is Cognition AI. Over to Puneet.
Before moving into our strategy, it is important to understand the core challenges Cognition AI is currently facing, including rising enterprise churn risk, the loss of the Windsurf's founding team, and Google's non-exclusive license over the existing Windsurf technology. At the same time, the AI developer tool market is projected from nearly $7 billion to around $25 to $35 billion by 2030, which highlights the strong future demand for autonomous software development and the AI-powered engineering workflows. Over to Anna.
So judges, in this slide, we have basically tried to show the integrated workflow of Devon and OneSurf and the reasons why it can become a moat in the near future. So let's start with it. The left-hand side of the slide basically shows that we have done some research analysis as a team. And according to our research and recent reports of Docker State of Agentic AI February 2026 reports, only 2% enterprises are there that are dependent on a single AI model, and 46% enterprises are now using 4 to 6 AI models for running their queries and running their projects. And this is a very great analysis as it shows that the AI industry now is inherently model agnostic in nature, which shows that if Cognition AI now enters this opportunity and leverage this quite early, it will not only have a structural advantage, but it will also position differentially from others. At the right hand side, we have tried to integrate both the platforms and run a simulation as we as a team we prioritize to integrate both the platforms. So like this is the simulation. Let's say a client of Microsoft writes this prompt on the platform, and as soon as he clicks run with Devon, the autonomous coding starts. And if you see the prompt, it has the three main sections: authentication, fraud detection, and deploy, and payment section. All the three sections are autonomous coding is being done by the agent itself without any supervision required. At the bottom right, we have shown the model routing, which shows different AI models are being done, different tasks are being done by the different AI models, which shows the adaptive routing principle of Windsurf. And at the bottom, we have just shown a tool comparison of Cloud Code and Cognition platform as to why Cognition wins over Cloud Code, and the other reasons of why it can become a moat. Over to Sakshi.
To neutralize the Google IP liability, our strategy rests on the three pillars: diverge, invent, and communicate. Google license cover only the current Windsurf snapshot, existing UI architecture, and the pre-acquisition integration. Everything built post-acquisition is Cognition's protected territory. Our architectural divergence roadmap responds in two phases. The first phase is invent, where we propose the integration of Windsurf deeply with GitHub, Zira, continuous integration or continuous delivery, and single sign-on. As the client workflow live inside the Windsurf, switching cost compound and replication become harder. Second is the transform phase, where we introduce the Windsurf content engine, persistent memory across spirits and decisions, shifting the mode from an IDE to an enterprise workflow intelligence platform. On communication, enterprise clients get CEO-led outreach and roadmap transparency. Investor hears one message beyond transitional risk with diverse already underway. We are not just building and we are not just defending against the Google. We are building what Google can't copy. This is the workflow that we made using the Eraser software, which shows the Windsurf enterprise integration pipeline.
And this is the prototype that we made using the Figma software, which shows the developer IDE interface. This section shows how the content engine how it will work. Over to Palak.
So we know that a $25 billion valuation looks very steep on paper, but this is a 2027 forward growth story, not a snapshot of today. We have a unique full stack mode. Nobody else combines an autonomous agent like Devin with an IDE like Windsurf. With tech giants like Oracle and Meta cutting thousands of roles, there's a massive displacement wave. We are positioned to capture that budget, driving our base case ARR to $224 million by 2027. Coming to the capital plan, to get there, we are deploying $900 million with a very specific sequence. First, we are putting a $198 million into stabilization. We have to retain our 250 engineers because losing them is our biggest immediate risk. Next, $270 million goes towards architectural divergence. We are building proprietary layers like the context engine to ensure our IP evolves completely outside the scope of Google's license. We've also kept a 10% reserve to protect our valuation floor if the market gets volatile. Over to Puneet.
Since Windsurf contributes to the $82 million ARR, retaining the enterprise clients during the transition period is critical for both the revenue stability and the investor confidence. So first, we have segmented on the basis of the churn risk, where the high-risk clients are concerned about the IP uncertainty and the renewals, while the low-risk clients are already deeply integrated with the Devin workflows. Based on this, we have made a four-step retention strategy where we identify the high-risk accounts, then using a tiered outreach for different client segments and maintaining transparent communication around IP and product continuity, converting strong retention outcomes to the investor confidence signals. For execution, we have designed a 90-day roadmap. The first 30 days focus on stabilization, leadership outreach, and the next 30 days focus on rebuilding trust through demos and the roadmap discussion. And the final phase focuses on the renewals, long-term contracts, and reinforcing the investor confidence. So overall, our strategy is that strong retention will help to reinforce the basically the investor confidence and valuation stability. Over to Arnav.
So judges, this slide shows our GTM repositioning strategy. And our core recommendation is to reposition Cognition AI from an AI coding assistant into a full stack AI engineering platform. And to enable this, Cognition should first strengthen its operating model through retained Windsurf for talent, integrated Devin Windsurf infrastructure, and strategic partnerships, because this is a thing that will actually help the company stand out from others due to the recent leadership crisis and licensing challenges that Cognition faced recently. On the product side, we recommend positioning Devin and Windsurf as a unified platform that is capable of delivering the production-ready software. The go-to-market strategy combines enterprise sales with developer-led adoption through free ID access, enterprise pilots, ROI-led demos, and we are targeting SaaS companies, fintech companies, and high-growth startups. As far as the feasibility is concerned, our solution is highly feasible because Cognition AI is something which already has both the platforms. It controls both the platforms, so the integration execution is not that difficult. Thank you, judges. We are open to questions.
I think one thing that I want to call out is great mockups that you've created. The entire simulation of your coding platform and how the solution would look is interesting, and looks like they've put in some time around it, right? So kudos
Thank you
on
so
that.
much, ma'am.
And
Thank you
yeah.
so much.
Then help me understand. I mean, we've talked about all the goods of this platform that it has to offer. Probably basis of what you've understood of this entire model, and if now you are the CEOs or the CXOs of this entire organization, help me understand which would be one area where maybe people would not want to work with you or adopt Cognition as per you, and let's understand your thought around that. What could be a setback?
That client will use more Cognition over any other competitor of theirs.
Why? I mean, that one reason why people will not want to work with Cognition. You are the CXOs of Cognition, right? So when we build something, then we are aware of the strengths, but we are also aware of the weaknesses. So help me with the weaknesses as CXOs yourselves.
Okay. First of all, like before the acquisition of Windsor by the Cognition AI. The two founders plus top engineers were hired by the Google. That will be the one of the major demerits for the Cognition. And another one is like it might be difficult for them as Google, Cloud Code, and their companies, other big companies have like better clients. Even their user base are much better than Cognition. So maybe these will be the reasons.
Right. And
Can
now
I
that
add
you've
something to
pointed it
this?
out, what? Yeah, go ahead, Arnav.
Ma'am, I think companies like Anthropic, which have a very, very great AI model like Claude Code, and which has a very highest revenue multiple, all like in the whole AI industry, can easily replicate what Cognition does by adding features. And I think like one of the biggest weaknesses of our model is we have to add something that creates value. Because if we see the successful AI startups today, and not only the AI startups, but also if we go beyond the AI startups and look the successful companies all over the world, the companies who have succeeded are those who have focused what customers need and not what the company wants to sell them. So I think this is one of the things we have to create something value propositional to customers, not something by adding features, because it can be easily replicable by these great giant companies like OpenAI, Google, and like Meta, etc.
Right, fair. And do you have any mitigation plan on that? Like specifically on the fact that what you do can be replicated by a Claude or a Google for that matter
Yes, sir.
in the next
Yes,
coming
ma'am.
days? Because it's,
We
yeah,
have
go
some
ahead.
plans.
Mhm.
Sakshi, can you please go to this slide 3?
Slide 3.
Yeah. So, ma'am, basically in this slide, we are not just adding features; we are creating value. If we know that we have just created a structure here, the adaptive routing, autonomous coding, and autonomous execution. Like if we see a few months back, Windsurf actually introduced one of the great features in its own platform, adaptive routing, which automatically decides which AI model is best for which task. As we all know, different AI models are best at performing different tasks. No AI model can perform all the tasks. So if we integrate both the platforms, this is the best feature, as it will also help us like deal with the cost optimization, and the effectiveness of our solutions will also increase. That will also lead to higher task success rate. And like this is there is an autonomous coding as well. And if you see the AI companies all over the world today, there is no company as of now which has the ID platform as well, plus the autonomous execution as well. And Cognition is the first company to deal with. And if it enters now, it will have a very structural advantage, and it will like it has a competitive advantage. It will be able to position itself very competitively, like rather than its customers, competitors.
Fair. I think good take, but just leaving you with the thought that most of the models now, if you see, like the platforms have a critique mode, which does this routing on its own, right? And it's just a matter of time that they bring it in inside of their Cloud Code or the GitHubs.
Ma'am,
So, mhm.
one more thing. In the wait, in the prototype, we have mentioned that we added a feature which is content engine that will flag to like if there will be any bug or anything that engineers touch, it will be like identify all like based on the client data. So like it will serves as a warning directly inside the code editor at the exact point where the developer is working. So that will be a differentiable point. Like here it is mentioned.
I think this is on the testing side of things and the debugging mods. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
not going to be a differentiator. Most of the IDs have it. Uh, but yeah, I think I'm good from my end. Thank you so much, guys.
Ma'am, can I add something more to this if it's possible? Ma'am, I think
I mean,
by
I'll just
the
check with the team in 180 DC if the time permits you for that. But yeah, I mean, go ahead if we have time.
Ma'am, I think you just said that Google and other AI companies can also replicate this in just a matter of time. Ma'am, I think if they like even if they replicate it, it will take some time, at least like in 12 months or 15 months. And if Cognition now enters the market, it will have a very competitive advantage because it will understand what customers need, what customer preferences are, and it will automatically like integrate into its own platform. While after 2 to 3 years, when Google and other companies enter it, they will also need to take some time, and I think the switching cost will of customers will increase by a higher amount by that time.
So guys, I think we need to wrap it up. We are short on time. Great presentation, guys. You
Yeah, I'm good.
can
Thanks,
leave.
guys.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank
Great
you.
presentation, guys. You can leave now.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much.
Team Nova is your whole team here.
I'm the only one who's presenting.
All right. You can just present the screen and start with your presentation.
Sure.
The screen is visible. You can begin with your presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mehar Nagpal, a mathematics honors student at Maitre College, University of Delhi. From Team Nova, Cognition AI is chasing a $25 billion valuation while dealing with the broken acquisition, a Google IP threat, and two of the most funded competitors in enterprise software. My job today is to tell you how actually they pull it off. Before recommendations, I would like to give an executive summary about the same. So, Cognition built Devin, the world's first autonomous AI software engineer, not a tool that helps you write code, an AI that receives a task and by itself they plan, write, they test, and they deploy. And they come back hours later and the work is done. They also acquired Windsurf, an AI assistant that lives inside the developer's coding environment and help in real time while the developer is actively working. So now Cognition has both the autonomous worker and the real time assistant. Nobody else in the market has both. That is the strength you see in the SWOT analysis. The weakness is what came with the acquisition. Google holds legal rights to replicate Windsurf's entire existing code base, and the two people who built it are now sitting inside Google DeepMind. The opportunity is that Oracle, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, they all collectively cut over 60,000 engineers in early 2026. Every one of those eliminated roles is potential demand for autonomous coding tools, and the threat is Claude Code. Sitting at $2.5 billion ARR, getting better automatically every time Anthropic releases a new model. No product work, it just compounds. And the competitor matrix that you see on the right, it actually captures exactly where Cognition needs to position itself. High workflow autonomy, which is model independent, and nobody else in the corner. That's the entire strategy we can see in one single chart. This is the strategic positioning by how do we compete with something that actually improves, that too for free. You don't fight it on features. The one thing you can actually do is, according to the two moves that you see on the slide, the first is that the cognition is model agnostic. Right now, Claude Code is permanently, we can say that it is married to Anthropic's model. That's its strength and its ceiling. Cognition's answer is to let any enterprise plug in whichever AI model they prefer. It may be Claude, GPT-40, Gemini, anything, to power Devin, and also to power Devin as well as Windsurf underneath. This does three things. All the three things are, we can say that Anthropic turns from a threat into a partner because if enterprises run Claude through Cognition's platform, Anthropic earns the revenue from it. It removes single vendor lock-in, which is genuinely the biggest blocker in enterprise. And we can also say that Cognition improves every time any AI lab releases a better model. Second is the Windsurf Devon handoff. This is the actual moat of the whole strategy. Here's how it, I can say that how it works. That is, the developer, they can type a task inside the Windsurf, a simple task handled very easily. And next, the complex task, something that takes hours and hours with multiple files, they can send automatically to Devon, which executes completely on its own and brings the finished work back to Windsurf for review. What really happens is that Claude, they cannot do it because it is obviously a single session platform. It cannot run a 6-hour or maybe a 10-hour autonomous task. Cursor, on the other hand, which is another competitor, they need human oversight at every step. No competitor whatsoever can offer this without owning both the categories simultaneously. And because the handoff is being built after the acquisition, it's entirely new IP Google's license, it doesn't cover. And the best market for this is the financial services, where the legacy system, which runs from maybe 10 to 40 hours per code base, or healthcare IT industries, or maybe multi-session workflows, and enterprises that also has SaaS, that is writing to the Oracle displacement. The repositioning is itself very simple. We can stop calling this an AI coding call it what we actually can see it. This is a full stack AI engineering operating system. Next is the Google liability. Now, this is the most dangerous problem on this case. Google, it holds a non-exclusive right to Windsurf's entire existing code base. The two founders who actually designed every part of it are now inside the Google's DeepMind. So this is a big problem. And Google can rebuild this entire product. They can also run it to Gemini, and they can distribute it to 3 billion users at most, no additional cost. This was not a coincidence. This was an actual intended outcome that they wanted. But there is one good thing, is that the license, it has a hard boundary. It covers what Windsurf's was on the day Cognition bought it, not what Cognition built from tomorrow. And that distinction is the entire strategy. Now, what happens is that Devon's autonomous engine was never a part of Windsurf, completely outside the license. The Windsurf Devon handoff, which I mentioned earlier, it was being built right now, which is the new IP. Every single line of code written after the acquisition date belongs to Cognition. The bar chart that you can see on the slide, it shows the trajectory. The 3 phases, it also shows the trajectory. I can explain it a bit. From day 0 to 30, it's completing the IP audit and bringing the external legal consultant to tell the clients proactively. And we don't let them hear about this from Google first. And how we can actually communicate it to clients is that Google's license covers what already existed, but everything from today is exclusively ours. That is Cognition's. To investors, we can say that this is time limited integration risk, not a permanent structural problem. This is the valuation that you can see. 138 times trailing ARR. I know how that sounds. It's a huge amount. And nobody serious prices a fast growing AI company on trailing revenue. The bear case, the base case, and the bull case, these are the three cases with the churn and the Devon growth. And the breakdown is given as that you can see. The multiples are real as well, and the takeaway is simple. $25 billion is achievable, but only in the bull case. And the bull case needs to retention the hold, which is why the next slide, the capital allocation is there as
Meher,
it is.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but your time is over. Can you please wrap it up in the next 15 seconds?
Yeah, sure. This is the client retention, the three-tier program. Top 20 clients, Scott calls, next 80 clients, and this is the next remaining 250 clients. This is the base outcome from the table, the three metrics, and that is all. This is the main 90-day window that determines everything.
So one question, Meher, from your side. So you talked about retaining current clients, right? How are you planning to get more clients in the first place? I know you briefly talked about the financial services sector, but that's one aspect of it. Do you think, just targeting financial services, even though it's a major sector, that can kind of justify the even the base case revenue growth numbers that you're suggesting?
So first of all, if we have to retain the clients that are already there. So as mentioned in the tiered program that you can see on the slide, the tiered program shows how to actually retain the clients that we already have. If the strategy that I'm implementing is that if we don't retain the clients that are already there, how are we supposed to bring out the next customers? If customer trust is built through the retention program, then this goes on to the next clients.
No, I'm not discrediting it. It is extremely important, but that's the first phase of it. You retain all of your clients, that's good. But then how do you eventually plan to take it to the next level? Because I'm talking about the growth angle basically. Like, where do you go from here to that next level 25 billion number that you're talking about? Which specific sectors or clients are you thinking of targeting?
So, as I mentioned before, that like Oracle, Meta, Amazon, they are laying off around 30,000 different people, right? According to the slide that I showed before, these new people can come, and the strategy that can be used is that we can partner with Anthropic. So this is one of the strategy I would. It's obviously we cannot partner with our own client, but if both the sides benefit equally from the partnering with Claude, basically Anthropic is Claude, we can partner with our biggest competitor and can raise a lot of revenue. The ARR can be multiplied into thousands or maybe millions by partnering with our biggest competitor.
So they are your competitors. I am
Yes.
talking about end clients basically. For example, I am a, let's say, I am a bank, because you gave the example of financial services industry. I'm a bank who has my own developer team. They write a lot of code, they do a lot of testing for their internal platforms and all, right? You would eventually be selling to those end customers,
Yeah,
right? So
exactly.
that's where my question is, right? Are there any specific industries apart from just financial services which you mentioned, which you would be targeting? Because just one industry itself will probably not lead to the numbers that you talked about in your later, uh, like the financials part of it. That's where my question is. Specific industries, types of businesses, all of those things.
Sir, I think financial services, as I mentioned, and also health as well as the IT sector could also be implemented into it as well, along with the financial services.
Okay, and the rationale behind choosing, let's say, a health sector?
Sir, because these are huge sectors and they can provide us with long contracts. And also, there is a complex workforce that is perfect for the Devon model in the Devon Windsurf handoff. And maybe like a single, let's say, a single financial service enterprise, they can close the deal worth maybe 500K dollars to $1 million annually. This is one of the examples that I can give you about the financial services. This implements to the health and the IT sector as well.
Okay, sure.
We are done with the Q&A. Meher, I think we can wrap up. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You can start presenting once all the members of your team are present.
I believe all the members in our team are present. Could we just have a quick audio check if you're able to hear us carefully and properly?
Yeah, you are well audible and
Jen,
visible as well.
Yeah, I can hear you, Vinayak. All right, that's good. All right, judges, do we know when we can start?
Please, you may start.
All right, so, all right, judges. So before we even understand and play with our entire case, we must first ask ourselves a simple analogy. How does a fastest car win in an F1 race? Common to contrary belief, people would assume the car traveling in the fastest in a straight line wins the race. But that's actually not the case. It's the car which takes the most advantage during the turn. And we, as Devon, plan to do that with our consultancy playbook. Good evening, judges, and good afternoon and good morning, depending on where you are. We are Goldman Stanley from Christ University, and this is our consultancy playbook.
Okay, so moving on, let's go with the current context. We know Claude is improving its model and anti-gravity has been launched, which was basically our moat in the case that we had autonomous agents plus an IDE integration. But now that isn't relevant. So what is our moat now? So Cognition has two basic moats: index node graph architecture and traversable data. What does this mean in a simple manner? When Devon is deployed in a company, let's say it builds a map of the entire code base using nodes. Nodes could be example debugging. Any file which comes under debugging will be under that node. Now, when a prompt is given to Devon, let's say, it traverses the data, how it moves through that map, it analyzes each and each time. So it gets better on with the output, which helps in reducing context. Now, moving on with the problem statement.
Let's look at the problem statement. Now, Cognition is left with 4 problem statements. One is a non-exclusive license and 40 top engineers and Windsurf's 2 founders. Second is an immediate M&A churn risk, right? A 90-day client churn window. As a client of Cognition or as a client of Windsurf, what is my incentive to use Windsurf when Google is coming up with something better, right? So there's a threat. The third one is competitive threat. We all know Anthropic is a front runner in the AI space, right? Just to get some context, Anthropic's ARR stands at $30 billion. And the valuation multiple which Cognition is asking also is very high. It's 150x compared to like with relative to the ARR.
All right, so to first primarily understand what our computers do, we need to simply understand what Claude and Cursor does. So whenever Claude reaches its threshold on its maximum context, it simply deletes old data. And in sectors like banking and medical industry, this is extremely, this cannot be tolerated at all because all data is sensitive. And Cursor concises all the information, which often leads it to ignore important links, which again does not work in a medical and banking sector.
Coming to the anti-gravity part, the threat is already real. Anti-gravity is developed by 2 of the founders of Windsurf itself, right? So, but is this the end for Cognition? No. Because Cognition is solving one critical problem: how it deals with the context. Right? Let's look what anti-gravity missed. Anti-gravity has multiple agents, and all the agents run parallel in a task. But the whole problem is how they read the context, how they get the context. Let us take a simple example. If I am preparing for a chapter called triangles, and if I miss a small theorem in it, do I need to read the whole chapter again from the beginning, understand what is a I'm good for the exam, right? If I do all that from the beginning, my compute power, I reach fatigue. I cannot do it again and again. I cannot process it, right? It's a similar with AI also. AI lacks memory. All the AI models currently lack memory. The way they deal with context is a main problem. And this is where Cognition is solving the problem and being revolutionary.
Now let's go towards Cognition's answer to it. So our index node architecture actually treats context as a product, not a cost, compared to Claude Code and anti-gravity. Whenever context is given to us, the way we move through that map, which I told index nodes, it like a football player, you analyze each of its stats. That way, Devin also analyzes whatever it does, how it moved through each file, which file did it take, was it relevant? So as and when context increases, its memory and efficiency increases. Moving on.
Anthropic and Google are playing a game of quantity, right? Anthropic is facing compute issues. Google has offering of 2 million plus context window, but context is like compute is getting far costlier day by day. And this is where Cognition is coming up with the play of quality. We are being efficient. That's what we mean when we say context as a product. Coming to the GDA playbook of Cognition, we'll be doing it under funnel, right? We'll be hosting hackathons. This increases the brand visibility, right? We'll be doing partnerships with YC and all the other startup accelerators too. This increases the brand visibility. Then by hosting hackathons and deploying intense coding tasks, we'll be getting user validity. This is the acquisition part of it. When we get the user validity, we get activation. People will start enterprise pilot programs. Startups will definitely would like to inculcate Devin plus Windsurf in their daily workflows. And this eventually will get converted into revenue, right? We get our ARR and MRR. This value creation is basically jotted down into 3 buckets. A freemium IDE launch, this will increase the user base. The goal is not to convert people. The goal is get the brand visibility. And then again, hackathon sprint, the brand visibility part of it. All the startups and like the smartest minds out there will definitely use the Devin and Windsurf product. And this is the demand-driven pull. This is where we are going to justify our product with the moat, the traversal data moat.
To add on the demand-driven pull, it's basically like every department's context is not fragmented. All the departments are linked together. All the context is condensed. Moving on. Okay, now the fundraising is the most important part. So now when I go to an investor to justify my 25 billion valuation, I don't want to go and say, okay, due to these assumptions, I have a 30% increase in forward ARR. So with the market multiple, this is why I value it. No. I want to show the investor that we have a sustainable long-term moat, which is our autonomous IDE plus integration. But anti-gravity already took it. So what do we have next? A routing algorithm. It basically means when a task is given, it directly either delegates it to Windsurf or Devin. Then moving on, traversal data moat, as I explained in the start, that is our main moat, which we are going to go to investors with. We keep on improving with the company. The company literally becomes Devin's house. Devin knows the company in and out. The data becomes proprietary. Next, moving on, client control. So client control is basically the client has access to everything Devin does. It does not need to leave the company's servers. Intelligent router, again, direct Windsurf or Devin. Shared access is obvious because if I'm going to route it to Devin and Windsurf, I need to have the same context. So we need to spend 900 million on developing client control plus audit, tracking whatever changes we made, intelligent router, and shared access. And this moat defensibility is how we're going to go to the investor to justify our ARR in the future.
Right. So understanding this slide, we'll move on to the figure towards the left, which is the triangle in itself. We'll have a bottom-top approach. So the pipeline origination is essentially addressing the total addressable market. When these last tech giants had massive layovers, this created an $8 billion to $10 billion total addressable market, which we'll be going towards. Now, we'll simply just not go knock on their doors. We'll have that integrated with Microsoft's Azure Marketplace, and we'll have a seamless integration with it. Moving on to it, we'll have a strategic qualification, which is basically its SEC and SIPA compliance, which essentially means that banking and healthcare has sensitive data, and will locally deploy Devin into them, so the security part of it is done. So it's essentially secure, and everything what you do is tracked. Moving on to the next slide.
1 second, I just want to say that the IP liability, we have to remember it's the timeline. It was only during the acquisition. anti-gravity was already replicated. So whatever changes we do now cannot be copied by Google. So yeah, moving on, the flywheel, it's basically local deployment. All the cloud is it's private within the company. It doesn't leave. Model agnostic. We have multiple models like anti-gravity, league IP indemnification, and then autonomous output. Autonomous output is the main task which we need a lot of compute for. So that's where our 900 million will kick in. Audit governance. All changes in the code which is made in a company will be audited.
And we'll also have an exponential expansion where we'll be leveraging the advantages we got from the GTM strategy, right? So all these are like, this is the enterprise flywheel. These are like where these are the points where the enterprise frictions are getting addressed, right? Coming to the broad industry, what's happening in the whole
Guys, you need to
Can I just have 20 seconds? I'll give the final
yeah,
summary.
just 15 seconds.
Yeah. So there are 5 layers of our strategy: locally deployed in a private cloud. Second, a map of the code base using the index node architecture. Third, traversing data continuously improves and improves, self-sustaining. Fourth, an ecosystem lock-in. Now that the company has to rely on Devin because it knows its entirety, it cannot be replaced. And then, yeah, that's basically our strategy and how we're going to pitch to our investors.
Towards the question and answer, judges.
Yeah, we'll move on to question and answers if the judges have any for our team.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just trying to come back to the screen. So good take. I think one thing that I have to appreciate of the fact is that you're not talking about what anti-gravity is doing and propositioning yourself as somebody who's doing it first. Um, the other thing that I want to understand from you is what's your retention strategy? How do you talk about people who will switch from Cognition because
That's
the
the
CXOs have left? So what's the
uh,
plan?
so is this for enterprises or for individual users or both?
Enterprises
So
mostly.
that's where our mode comes in, right? So if you take Claude, it's a single session, all the context is missed. But when we put it in an enterprise, our index node architecture, like whenever a prompt is put, suppose it
It's
traverses
not,
the data.
sorry, I'm interrupting. It's not about new market acquisition. I'm talking about
Yeah.
retention. So the
May
folks
I
who may leave with the co-founders exiting.
Right.
may I take
Add
on
on
this
to that?
question?
Oh yeah, sure, Jan. Go on.
Yeah, so the whole point of adapting Cognition or enterprises using Cognition is it provides an ecosystem lock-in. The whole point why Microsoft is still used relevantly in all the enterprises, despite its friction, is it gives an enterprise ecosystem lock-in, right? People don't want to switch through multiple softwares. That's where our mode kicks in, and we are providing context as a product. People don't want to spend on compute. We want an employee who is doing all the tasks in a sandbox environment when even when people are away from the desk, right? We're going to we can do the investor meetings too, right? So we in an investor meeting we'll be showing how we are providing value with enterprise lock-in, where they essentially we are providing an ecosystem like Microsoft.
Yeah, I just follow up with what Jan said. So, to understand the ecosystem lock-in with a simple analogy, Claude is considered superior to Gemini in its pure computing power and the way it gives answers. But why people rely on Gemini is its sort of integration with its workforce. Now, see, Gemini can be used with Google Sheets, Google Docs, and it's really seamless. That seamless integration is what we are proposing over here. When you have massive context to work with, when you're putting a whole lot of data about your company, the agent essentially knows your company in and out without missing any data. In the first point, I addressed how Claude deletes old context and how the other tools minimizes the context and ignores the important links. We are not really doing that, and that seamless integration becomes really how to get out of. So once you're in, it's hard to get out, and that's what we're proposing.
I think it's quite fair on the paper, but I still don't feel that the risk of co-founders exiting and maybe the retention strategy that we have to have for even the employees working currently, because the leadership exit is a strong instrument of trust. I must say that, right? Be it in organization or with the existing customers. So I don't see that very clearly defined, but yeah, what you say on the paper does sound good.
So,
Okay.
just to or rather follow up with your question, while I do believe that there's a sort of trust and transparency issue, because what might sound good on paper might not work in execution. That's why we have like a sort of pilot program first started. That's why we even have hackathons. So when this even happens in a small scale, maybe for example when there are only 10 clients using us, when these 10 clients these convert into a sort of referrals. So, okay, in simple terms, what it means is when it's good to 10 clients, they'll refer to 10 more clients. That leads to 100 clients, 1,000 clients. And once our hackathons even grow and these become a sort of talent acquisition funnels, we'll send these guys to work in companies which know Devin in and out, which also has that sort of trust that, okay, this guy won this hackathon using our software. So maybe we can run them as an intern for a bit in our company. And as soon as they see their workflow efficiency and seeing things better in the company, boom, they're in.
Are there any other questions on the valuation part?
I think we can wrap up the Q&A. Thank you, team.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
Thank you.
much.
Pleasure.
Really great presentation. You really can talk.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Judge is the last team now.
You can start presenting once all the members of your team are here.
All the members of team are here. Maybe share our screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
You.
Guys, is the screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pratyush, and this is my teammate Kanishwar. We are from Shahid Siddiq College of Business Studies, and today we'll be presenting our analysis on the Cognition AI and the Windsurf acquisition case. So imagine building the world's first autonomous AI software engineer, scaling from a $350 million valuation to over 10 billion in under 2 years, and then discovering that Google can legally replicate parts of the products you have just acquired. That's the situation Cognition AI faces today. So the question is, can Cognition protect its competitive edge, retain enterprise confidence, and justify its $25 billion ambition? Now, let's begin with the situation overview. Cognition AI created Devin, an autonomous AI engineer capable of independently writing and deploying codes. The company scaled rapidly to a $10 billion valuation, over 5,000 enterprise deployments. To strengthen its platform, Cognition acquired Windsurf, which is an AI native ID with 350 enterprise clients and $82 million ARR. But the acquisition came with a major twist. Google hired Windsurf's founder and 40 top engineers, also retaining a license to part of the technology, creating serious competitive and IP pressure. At the same time, Cloud Code and Cursor continue scaling aggressively, while Cognition faces a critical 90-day client churn window. So, Cognition is now under the pressure to retain clients, defend its differentiation, and justify its long term vision.
My mic. Really sorry, just I forgot to open my mic. Now coming on to the competitive landscape and market positioning. Here we have analyzed the competitive landscape and position of Cognition in the AI developer tool markets. The market itself is highly attractive with a TAM of $35 billion by 2030 and has a strong annual growth. Now what differentiates Cognition is that it operates across multiple verticals, that is AI narrative IDEs and autonomous agents, while most of the competitors focus on only one of the category. This position Cognition closer to a full stack AI platform rather than just a coding assistant, which other competitors are like Anthropic has Claude Code and Cursor. Now, on the competitive side, Anthropic and Cursor remains the biggest threat due to strong model capabilities and IDE mindshare. However, Cognition, model agnostic strategy, enterprise deployment, and integrated platform approach creates a long-term moat for it. Also, the Oracle displacement tailwind has created an opportunity for Cognition in order to increase the deployment clients.
Our key insight is simple. According to us, the AI coding market will not be won by the best model alone. It will be won by the deepest workflow integration. And that is where Cognition stands apart. Most competitors operate as a co-pilot or assist developers in isolated tasks. Cognition combines two layers, Devin, the autonomous execution agent, and Windsurf, the developer workflow environment. This creates what we call an agentic IDE loop, where Devin independently executes multi-hour coding tasks, while Windsurf becomes the interface for review and deployment. The full stack workflow is extremely difficult to replicate quickly for anyone else. Strategically, we recommend Cognition to position itself as the control plane for the AI engineering. Enterprises should be able to plug in their choice of LLM, which could be Claude, GPT, or Gemini, while Cognition owns the workflow layer itself. We recommend the target verticals to be financial services, legacy healthcare, defense and government, and cloud ops. This shifts Cognition from being just another AI product to becoming the core engineering infrastructure. Now, let's address the biggest concern, the Google IP risk. Yes, Google can replicate parts of Windsurf current technology, but what they cannot replicate is what Cognition and Windsurf together build next. This is why we propose a three-stage divergence roadmap. First, we stabilize the platform and retain enterprise client during the critical 90-day client retention window. Secondly, we rebuild the key systems using proprietary APIs and workflow infrastructure outside Google's license scope, so it cannot replicate our product. And third, scale through deep enterprise integration and model agnostic workflow that becomes legally and functionally distinct. This changes the valuation narrative completely. The value is no longer just the IDE code, it becomes the proprietary workflow, enterprise integration, and autonomous execution layer built around Devin. So ultimately, Google may replicate what the old Windsurf provided, but together, Cognition and Windsurf can still own the future of AI software engineering.
Now coming on to the stakeholder stabilization and retention framework. Now this slide focuses on stakeholder stabilization during the critical 90 days transition period. Now we have divided it into 4 steps. Our strategy would begin with prioritizing high value and high risk enterprise clients that contributes the majority of ARR. Then, in the first 30 days, our focus would be on immediate stabilization through dedicated account managers, stabilization through dedicated account managers, clear product roadmap, and priority support in order to restore confidence and prevent the churn rate. Now, between the days 30 to 60, we would strengthen our engagement through weekly updates, early feature access, and client feedback loops. Now, finally, in the day 60 to 90, our focus will shift towards retention and expansion by converting clients into long term contracts and increasing the lifetime value. Our overall objective would be to retain 90% ARR, maintain churn rate below 5%, and drive expansion revenue through the existing customers. Now, coming on to the next slide, which is valuation defense and resource optimization. We have defended our 25 billion of valuation through ARR trajectory, platform premium, and execution premium. Firstly, our current ARR is 150 to 180 million, which is targeted to be more than 400 millions within less than 2 months. Also, one of the major valuation driver is Cognition autonomous feature. That is, it is the only full stack model which other competitors does not have. It creates a strong customer lock-in and provides a pricing power to Cognition. On the revenue optimization side, we have optimized the revenue into majorly customer retention, product integration, and proprietary tech. We have also made a bull, base, and bear model that is shown on the bottom left side. Now, coming on to the strategic roadmap, we have divided the strategic roadmap into 3 parts. That is the phase 1, which is stabilization from day 0 to day 90, where we would retain 350 enterprise clients via 90-day retention program that I have mentioned earlier. Now, the second one is the phase 2, which is from day 90 to day 180, which focus on differentiation by building proprietary APIs, strengthen workflow platform and workflow infrastructure, and deeper enterprise integrations in order to strengthen the platform mode. Now, on to the phase 3, which focuses on expansion and scaling ARR through upselling, strategic partnerships, and expansion into high value enterprise verticals. Now, I would be showing you the appendix from which we have taken the reference, and also we have done the estimates for the bull, base, and bear model, and also the primary use for the capital allocations. This is all, and we are open to questions.
So one quick question from my side. I think in one of the slides, which was around resource optimization, you had some component dedicated to talent and leadership. Now
Yes,
here
sir.
you're talking about scaling enterprise deployments via AWS partnerships and compute capacity.
Capacity.
That is that part of talent and leadership? Because I would probably expect this to be focused more around your 250 plus engineers who might be at the risk of leaving the organization, and probably building that talent pipeline further, and not like this is something which would probably be an external partnership, not talent and leadership.
So basically, we have included it into talent and partnership because the deployment via AWS partnerships, we would be partnership with different companies, and it would increase the talent and leadership of the company in order to scale larger.
But then again, going back to the same point, what about those 250 engineers that you have right now, because your founders have left? If you're not trying to retain them, then basically that almost positions you or makes you go in a line where you might not have the necessary skill set or the necessary talent to be able to develop whatever you're planning to develop in next 6 months.
So we would be also retaining the clients that we have right now, but but we know that in technical skills, like in AI developer market, we would be needing the skills. That is the most important thing. And as we know that Google has taken the 30 most upskilled clients, we would be needing some talent and leadership more as well. So with retaining the clients, we would be also needing some new leadership as well.
I'm not talking about the clients, I'm talking about your developers, your employees basically.
So basically, what he's trying to say is that with the remaining 250 employees as well, we need to hire some maybe 10 to 15 senior executives who are better in managing them as well. So that is the fund we have developed for them. Basically, hiring senior CTOs, which is Chief Technology Officer, which would keep an eye on them, basically uh, maintain the output through them.
Okay, and then the slide just before it, which was around stakeholder stabilization and retention framework. Now, uh, again, stakeholder stabilization is not just the CTO, which the slide seems to indicate. If I'm thinking about stakeholders, it would be your clients, which basically is what you're talking about when you're saying CTOs. It would be your investors, it would be your employees, and probably any other partnerships as well. If you're claiming to be a model agnostic sort of a program, if you're planning to get into that space, you would be having those partnerships as well, right? Uh, so
Yes.
I think this slide kind of only takes care of one aspect, which is the client retention part of it. It misses out on like a lot more other people who you need to probably take care of if you're trying to get on this journey. That's the broader theme of my, like, both of my questions. Like, you're very client focused, which is good thing, but then while doing that, you also have to take care of your employees, your external partners, your investors, all of those things as well. So, which is something which I feel was maybe addressed in a very limited way. But yeah, otherwise I'm good from my side. Yeah.
I think we're running short on time. We can wrap up the Q&A. Thank you, team.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
We're done now. We'll just take a 5 minutes break to evaluate the results, and then we'll get all the team members to announce the results.
With this, we wrap up with all our presentations for the day. Firstly, thank you so much to the judges on behalf of the organizing team for taking out their precious time to be with us. Your insights, thoughtful questions, and constructive feedback have added immense value to the participants and the event as a whole. Your presence not only helps guide young innovators but also inspires them to push their boundaries and think bigger. Thank you once again for your expertise, encouragement, and support.
I'll ask the judges to share some feedback which they want to share with all of us.
Yeah, firstly, like, thank you, team. Great event. Coming back to the DU circuit after a while, I think it's a good refresher for me to see how you guys have evolved over the last years since I've graduated. But to the participating teams as well, great presentations, I must say. The thought process that you have now with the whole AI coming into picture is appreciable. A couple of pointers which were generic for most of the teams that I want to leave you guys as a thought for later is to actually think about the fact that human in the loop, whether it's a feature or a limitation, because per se, working in technology, I feel human in the loop is a big, big feature. So let's try to think why that works for us in the AI space as well. And another differentiator that I probably wanted to see from a couple of teams was that how are you going to do the outreach, right, from the market tapping per se? What I saw was missing was a definition of the market, how we want to go, in what segments do we want to tap in. In my personal opinion, I feel that the enterprises should be left with the relationship accounts that we have and the relationships that you have from a CXO levels. But the new outreach should be done to a small to medium scale organizations which are right now not tapped in by the big giants, because there, for them to trust you or cognizant would be higher. And of course, AI is catching up. So there has to be rapid evolution. And we need to be on the toes, because you never know when Claude brings in what you already have. And anti-gravity, it's just a matter of time when it picks up. But having said that, great presentations. Really excited that I had the opportunity to be here and hear you guys on how the next gen is thinking about AI. It's quite interesting. Appreciate the work you're putting.
Thank you.
Anything from you, sir?
Couple of things. So first, try to be as lazy as possible. 3C, 4P, 4P, those are the bare minimums. Pricing, custom, everything, right? Pricing, promotions, and everything. That's the main thing that you should focus on. Then talking about your 4Cs, right? Your customers, all of those areas, right? There were certain presentations which had like three of them, certain which had like all of them. So be as easy as possible. I think that's the first thing. And second thing, at least personally, I am a numbers guy. So there were certain cases where the numbers seemed a little shaky. So if you're trying to do valuations and all of those things, if you're trying to justify multiples in the range of billions of dollars, your bull case, base case scenario should be on point, and there should be like a very good rationale behind why you are suggesting me a number, especially around valuation. So just those two thought processes from my side.
Thank you so much, sir. Your insights were really helpful. I'll just request all the team leaders from the team to just raise their hands once to confirm the team presence. And everyone to please turn on their cameras for the results announcement.
Just a few seconds, guys. Before the results, I would like the council to share a few words with you.
We have our presidents, Kriti Di and Pratyabhaya with us, and they had our back organizing this event throughout. So handing over to them.
Hi everyone, this is Kriti Juneja, co-president of 180 Degrees Consulting DDUC with Pratyab Bhardwaj. Now, before we move ahead to the results, I would genuinely take a minute to thank all of you present here in the meeting for the effort and intent that you have brought today. We know that the amount of work that participants often put into a certain case competition goes far beyond that what we as organizers get to see. And we genuinely respect that. So on our end, we have tried to keep the evaluation pretty holistic, pretty exhaustive, to focus on entire quality, thought process, execution, and impact today. And apart from that, a great thank you to the judges present today for bringing in such valuable insights and ensuring the same effort goes aligned well. Thank you to the participants, to the judges, and to the OC members who have handled this all so patiently. Thank you all for making this day a good one. And now that we see ourselves being heading this team forward, I think it's a really overwhelming event for us to conclude. Thank you all and really looking forward to the results. Pratyay, please. Pratyay, in the me?
Yeah, hi, am I audible?
Yeah.
All right. So it was definitely great to see all the presentations. Although we could not be a part of the entire round, but definitely the decks that we reviewed, the decks that we saw, and the kind of efforts the teams have put in, it was amazing to see. The number of registrations crossing 3,500 registrations for us, it was really overwhelming. It was definitely a milestone for us as well, as a team, as a society, and we really appreciate all of you guys to for trusting us, for taking out your time to solve the case, to put in your efforts, to bring in your A game to the final round today. And I would really take a moment to thank the judges as well. We really couldn't have pulled this without you guys. Thank you for stretching your schedules, thanking you for stretching your calendars and providing us your really valuable feedbacks to us and to the participants as well. We really appreciate you for that. And with that, we really wish all the best to all the participants. And let's hope the best team wins.
Thank you so much. So, concluding the event, to move forward with the results, on the third position we have. Is anybody confident enough to just claim the third position here? Or should I announce it? Alright, I think I'll announce it by myself then. On third position, we have Team Enlightenment. Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great jobs and great presentation, great understanding.
Thank you so much.
Moving forward on to the second position of JIC 2026. Any guesses or anyone just stating it that I'm the second one here, or should I announce it again? So I'll announce the second position for JIC 26, and it is Team Goldman Stanley from Christ University. Congratulations,
Thank you so
guys.
much. Thank you so much, Dolph.
Thank you so much.
Great
Thank
presentation,
you so
guys.
much.
Great presentation.
Thanks a lot.
Great presentation, guys. You definitely deserved it. And moving forward now to the winners of JIC 2026, who has been exceptionally well. Great presentation, great outlook on the problems, great problem solving, presenting their solutions well enough. And on the number one position of JIC 26 is none other than
I think that's a bit too much suspense.
Timing.
Am I audible, guys?
Yeah, Parikshit, you are audible.
Guys, am I audible?
Yes, Parikshit, you are audible.
I'm sorry. It was. Did you guys like got the result?
No, no,
No.
the
Oh
teams
my
didn't.
god.
Yeah, it's a bit too much suspense.
Oh my god. Sorry for my Wi-Fi getting caught off at the right moment. But the results for JIC 2026, the winners are Team Case Crackers. Team Case Crackers, great
Thank you so
presentation,
much.
guys.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
Thank you so
much.
much.
Thank you
It
so
was
much.
really,
We
really
can
great.
already assume the number of claps, number of smiles that will be echoing in different homes all around. But at the same time, I'll also acknowledge how there was a little gap between all the qualifiers, and it's still we still respect all of the efforts and all the contributions that you guys made to this competition and all the positive compliments that we received from judges as well. So I hope everyone's competitive enough to take it in a healthy way, and it's all good. Congratulations to all the podium holders. We are really, really proud and grateful of everything that you brought in. Look, as I said, we could assume that. So, yeah, good job, guys. That was us, Team 180 Degrees Consulting, Deen Dayal Upadhyay College. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, judges. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. And all the winners, the top three winners, the organizing committee would be reaching you out soon. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, all the finalists. Thank you, winners. This was us, Team 180 DC DDUC.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you so much.
joining in, guys. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Palak, do okay. Got it.
What?
Yay, let's go.
Wait,
Successful
Let's
conclusion.
go.
Yes.
Are we
Finally,
that
Pariksha.
good? They
It
stopped the
paid off.
recording,
It
please,
paid
guys.
off.
Stop the
Yes.
recording. And
I
that
got it.
Puneet